I want to announce before the board continues that the board in closed session discussed and/or took action on the following cases: Ella T. versus the state and CSBA San Jose versus SBE CDE Promise Academy Charter School. I have an announcement. There is a change on our agenda today. Item 20 for executive prep hearing has been withdrawn by the petitioner on July 11th, 2018. Therefore, the board, under the action of the petitioner, will not consider item 20, and we will move on then to item 21, the renewal petition for the establishment of a charter school under the oversight of the SBE. So we're now ready for Lisa to present the background of this, and then we will have a public hearing with 10 minutes for each side, and then we will have public comment and, of course, board discussion. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. Lisa Constantio, Charter School.
I think you need to adjust the...
Thank you. Thank you. The first item up today is item 21 for Guidance Charter School, and it is before the state board today as a renewal. So I wanted to go over a little bit of the education code on the renewal requirements. I thought I'd start there, and then we can go into the presentation a little bit. I do have some handouts that I passed out also, and I'll talk a little bit about those as we get to the end of the presentation. But in terms of the review for renewal petitions, the Education Code 47605B and 47607B set forth ground rules for denying a renewal petition. And there are 4 criteria. 3 of those pertain to the API, but the 4th criteria states that the entity that granted the charter determines that the academic performance of the charter school is at least equal to the academic performance of the public schools that the charter school pupils would otherwise have been required to attend, as well as the academic performance of the schools in the school district in which the charter school is located, taking into account the composition of the pupil population that is served at the charter school. And then pursuant to SB 1290, it also states that the district shall consider increases in pupil academic achievement for all groups of pupils served by the charter school as the most important factor in determining whether to grant a charter renewal. The Education Code then further goes on to state that, in addition, state regulations require the district to consider the past performance of the school's academics, finances, and operation in evaluating the likelihood of future success, along with future plans for improvement, if any. So I just wanted to go over the Ed Code quickly before I went into the presentation. So a little bit about the timeline for this school. On October 29, 2017, the Palmdale School District voted to deny the renewal petition of Guidance High School by a vote of 3-1 and 1 abstention. March 20th, 2018, the Los Angeles County Board of Education took no action. The guidance petitioners then submitted a petition on appeal to the state board on April 2nd, 2018. The CDE recommendation is that the state board hold a public hearing to deny the request to establish Guidance High School I'm sorry, that's a typo. It is a K-12 charter school under the oversight of the state board. The recommendation is based on an unsound educational program. The school does not perform overall at least equal to its resident schools, and the school does not demonstrate increases in pupil achievements for all groups of pupils served. We have also determined that there are some deficiencies in the charter petition as well. There's the description of educational program, including what was lacking in the petition is a plan for English learners, a plan for special education, identifications for identifying pupil outcomes and pupil progress. There's missing information about who the independent auditor would be, governance structure, and then also school closure procedures. So this is just a list of items in the petition that we've identified would need some clarification and would need to be clarified prior to the opening of the school. The Advisory Commission on Charter Schools met on June 12th, 2018, and the Advisory Commission moved to recommend approval of the petition to the State Board. The motion was passed by a vote of 5-3. A little bit of background on the school. The school has been open since 2001, so it has been in operation for a while. They are currently serving 901 pupils in grades K through 12. There is a K-5. Part of the school is at a private facility located in Palmdale. That's the K-5 portion. The 612 is currently located at a facility through Palmdale School District. And they are proposing to actually move the 6 to 12 grades into a new private facility that is currently being built and is under construction. The school plans to grow to 1,400 pupils by 2021 and up to 2,390 by the end of the charter term. I have included this chart here as to kind of just give an overall of the their CASP results from 2014-17. You do have a copy of the presentation in case this is too small to look at. But at the very top in red is Guidance Charter School, and then below are a list of the schools, of the comparable schools in the district. Now, this is an elementary school district, so several of these schools are not actually K-12. The only one that is K-12 is the Palmdale Aerospace Academy. So that is the third one down listed, so that you can see the comparables there in comparison to what the guidance school actually is, as well as the K-12. Now, overall, for the ELA, the scores have pretty much become evened out over the years. But overall, the school scores are some of the poorest in the district overall. As part of the district's oversight and in their findings, they have stated that while ELA overall academic performance in grades 3 through 8 was at least equal to students would otherwise attend, the grade 11 performance in ELA was not equal, nor was math performance in grades 3 to 8 or 11 equal. The district also found that there was teachers without valid credentials, including English learner authorization, and 2 certified teachers that were misassigned. They also found that all courses do not have A through G transferability, and that there have been incorrect reporting of students who have completed A through G requirements. This was part of the district findings through their oversight. Now, in terms of their fiscal situation, they do have a multi-year financial plan that is fiscally viable. They have projected positive ending funding balances of over $10 million in 1 year, $13 million, and then $16 million, and their reserves are over 100%. They do have large expenditures there, and they do have costs for this new facility that they are building. The facility itself is going to cost about $40 million, and then part of their budget also includes a monthly rent in this facility that's about over $180,000 a month. In the district's oversight, they found in their fiscal audit that they were concerned about these related party transactions. The executive director of the school serves as an advisor to both the lender and borrower in loans and overseas transfer of monies. They have questions about the conflicts of interest of the facility lease agreements with the American Islamic Institute. The executive director of the school is also the founder of the American Islamic Institute. They found budget inconsistencies, incorrect reporting of rent paid, high facility costs, and also this rental house that the school owns and rents out as well as kind of part of their overall budget. And in part of LACO's review, they have actually found some potential lawsuits and pending lawsuits against the school at this time. 3 former principals have pending discrimination lawsuits against the school's executive director. And some of those allegations include failure to accommodate employee disabilities, requiring male-female staff to sit separately at staff meetings, directing principals to discipline employees who spoke Spanish at work but allowed others to speak Arabic, telling a female principal that in his country they would beat her or for requesting equal treatment with male staff, and refusing to allow special education students to take Arabic. And this came out of the county findings, so just pulling that directly from there. In terms of the discrepancies in the charter elements, as I mentioned earlier, we did find that they did lack a plan for English learners, a plan for special education students. And the petition does not present a reasonably comprehensive description of measurable pupil outcomes, and did not outline a plan for collecting, analyzing, and reporting the data on pupil achievement. Further, we did not see anyone specified who would be the independent auditor. In terms of governance, they didn't include evidence that there will be active and effective representation of the interested parties, including parents. And we didn't see any evidence of the school closure procedure. So just wanted to give you just a overall picture of some of the discrepancies we saw in the charter petition. In summary, CDE staff is recommending denial, mainly for the decreases in academic performance, which leads to their unsound educational program, concerned about the pending lawsuits, and then, as mentioned before, the elements in the petition that are lacking. I also handed out for each of the board members the table 2 that we use to show the demographics. So that's that blue paper that you all have, in case there was any questions about that. Again, the equivalent school that's a K-12 also is the Palmdale Aerospace Academy. So that is the second one listed on the demographic chart. And we included this with the ACCS item, so I just wanted to print that out for everyone to have. And then behind that is the fall dashboard results, in case there was any questions about that as well, just an overall view of the equity report. And then attached to that is just the status reports associated with ELA and then mathematics as well, just so you could have some background in that. That concludes my presentation. If anyone has any questions at this time.
These are, for the audience, these are more technical questions for CDE at this point about their presentation. Board members have any questions? Okay, no? All right, so we'll now open the public hearing. Each side will have 10 minutes to present the case, and so I will take first the petitioners for us to approve the charter school. You have 10 minutes. Please come up.
The day 2 folder, okay. Thank you. Okay, I think we have it. Let me just, yes. 20. I only see the school district one. Do I have, is there I have to see the school district one. Should I load his?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll load his.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and load yours. I don't see it. Oh, you do? Okay. Or it's the purple flash drive. Okay, sorry. I pulled yours out so I could put mine in. So. Top one? Okay.
Okay,
I'll play the video first.
there we are.
First or after? Okay. Okay, so we'll minimize that down.
Our 12th grade valedictorian award goes to...
Okay, there you go.
Good morning, Mr. President, member of the board. My name is Kamal Al-Khatib. I'm the founder and the executive director of the Guidance Charter School. The school has been in the business for 17 years, and we have enjoyed a very good relationship with our sponsoring district until the time we sort of submitted our renewal last year. Out of the sudden, we become different, and relationship has changed because a new board took over a few years ago. The school serves 94% free and reduced lunch student. We have 46% are categorized as disadvantaged students, social disadvantage according to the free and reduced lunch, and we have 84% socio-advantaged student based on the CASP testing. We have 72% Hispanic, 17% African American.
1 second, they're not seeing the PowerPoint. Give me a second.
Not yet. The PowerPoint.
Oh, you don't want it yet?
No, he's gonna.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I hope I get some time back on this. And we have also 21.6% ELL student and 17% special education. I can tell you the funding that we have from the district, they have no merits, and we will prove to you today that these information, they have not actually been brought to us on 17 years. They never brought any of these issues except last year when they had an issue with the school as a result of a complaint. Our attorney will go over some of the stuff. There is no conflict of interest. There is no problem with our budget. We are very solid, and our financial CFO will tell you that we are very solid. We have a very good education program. I have a video that I would like to play right now to the audience, just to give you an idea about what the school has been doing for the community, impacted a lot of lives. And also, I passed to you the yearbook for the student in the two campuses, just to show you, to give you an idea what kind of activity we have. We're not here for show off. We are real. We are a school that really a community school. So I'd like to play the video, if you don't mind. Which one is that?
Our 12th grade valedictorian award goes to Tamara Perry. She is a true gator.
Kindergarten.
It has led me to meeting great people, peers and teachers who have given me never-ending support, and I'm always thankful for that.
Hi, I'm Cameron G. One of the reasons why I like the GCS is because they're always explaining what they're teaching you, and they always help you no matter what.
Hi guys, my name is Amir, and I want to share all of you guys what I like about the school, and it's the coaches, because they help us to get up and they help us remind ourselves to get out of the bathroom because of playing. Hi guys, my name is Sharif, and I'm going to show you about Dr. Briggs. Dr. Briggs is the best principal of all, and he teaches us how to be smart.
This is a new campus that we are being almost finished. We're going to be August. We're going to open it. The cost of this $35 million, just to let you know. Okay, I'd like to call our attorney to go over some of the findings.
Good morning, Board President Kirsten, board members. My name is Janelle Rulli. I'm an attorney with the law offices of Young, Minnie, and Core here with the petitioners, urging your support of this charter renewal. One thing that Mr. Al-Khatib didn't mention is that guidance just got their letter from WASC notifying them about accreditation through 2020. So that's another good thing that's going for guidance. Throughout this particular charter renewal, two themes I think were consistently present. First, lack of due process from the district, and then second, the competing interests of the district. First, on due process, Guidance Charter School has been operating and authorized by the district since 2001. That's 17 years of history. 17 years of serving hundreds of students every year. 17 years of employing local community members. 17 years of clean audits, enrollment growth, and facilities development. In short, guidance is a bedrock in this Palmdale community. And yet we're not before you with a paper trail of notices of concern or cure. The district has not produced oversight reports documenting mistakes or misdeeds. We are before you, therefore, because guidance was lulled into a false sense of security by the district, by their written representations, and then ultimately sucker punched when it came to non-renewal. And the charter petition itself actually reflects that. This is a much more clipped version of a charter than you've seen in modern charters. Functionally, the district's actions are tantamount to revocation, but guidance actually got none of the process that is accorded to revocations. There's no notice of violations, no cure period, no extensive hearings. In fact, I was there for the meeting at Palmdale. There was no discussion on this item before they voted. There was a presentation, and then the vote was called for. There was no discussion. In December of 2016, approximately a year before the renewal vote, the district did express concerns about teacher credentials and about an allegation of a conflict of interest. 2 months later, February 7th of 2017, the district wrote a letter to guidance stating that its investigation uncovered no conflicts. That was February 7th. 1 week after that, February 15th, the district wrote another letter stating that guidance was in good standing when it came to renewal. This letter was in fact relied on in the issuance of a $30 million bond. The LA County Board found these facts determinative of the matter, voting 3-1 in favor of renewal. Unfortunately, though, county rules require 4 affirmative votes, and there were only 4 people there that day. So on the district's interests, guidance does enroll about 900 students, the majority of whom would otherwise attend a Palmdale school. The perverse disincentives of the Charter Schools Act were made plain last month when the district proudly told the ACCS that it got a federal grant to convert its middle schools into magnets. And I think the ellipsis there is that they want to be able to fill those seats. So desperate to understand what was going on with this non-renewal, guidance filed the Public Records Act, which the district systematically evaded. Guidance went to court to ensure the district's transparency, and Palmdale ended up paying about $42,000 in fees. We're asking you to put the pieces together, and I know time is short, so I want to turn this over.
Thank you. Good morning, Board President, board members. My name is Dr. Byron Briggs. I am the principal at the K-5 campus, and Mr. Al-Khatib has gone over some of my information, but that's great because time is running short. But we do serve a very diverse community. Our student population does a great job at our school. One of the things I wanted to look at is the upward trend of our enrollment, because as we put the pieces together, we can see where our enrollment was in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and that becomes an issue. That is one of the issues. The next thing that I want to look at is the schools in which we're being compared to. At the commission's meeting, they asked us to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and that's what we started to do, to look at the data and compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. We made mention of the Aerospace Academy. That's a 6 to 12 campus, not a K through 12, 6 through 12. So we started looking at the data, and it's a STEM academy, and with NASA. And out of the 25 schools in the district, we're not the best, but we rank 9th out of the 25 schools in the district when you put us in that population. So here's another chart that looks at it a different way. We are the green bar. And as you see, the longer the students are with us, their score starts to increase. That's one of the things that our teachers are doing. We have effective teachers, and we have an effective school that is turning students' lives around. We're touching students in a positive way. When you look at our ELA comparison to the district, we are the green. The state is the gray. And look at our scores. We are the only school with 2 years of positive increases in the district. And this is looking at the high schools. When we look at our math scores, we did start low. But again, we are the only school in the district with 2 years of positive increases. Our students are making a difference. Our school is making a difference, not only to the students, but to the community. We are a positive impact on the community as well. When we look at our socio-disadvantaged students, again, positive increases both years, and we're the only school in the district with a positive increase. When we look at our African-American students who struggle throughout the country, again, our students have a positive increase 2 years in a row. So we are impacting those students where it counts.
Time.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to give him one more minute because of the confusion, so go ahead.
When we look at our ELA comparison, the percentage of students that are meeting or exceeding, and these are middle schools, and they are magnet middle schools in which we're being compared to. STEM middle schools, we're second. We are really making a difference. The difference that we're making, again, is not only just with the students themselves, but it's with future generations, because we're giving our students an opportunity that the Palmdale School District does not give them. And that's why we have so many students that are coming to us, and our enrollment is continuing to increase, because parents are disgruntled, and they need a place to go, a safe place to go where their kids can learn and be comfortable. Thank you all.
I just wanted to use the mic 14 seconds. The guidance charter school, when we had the API system, scored 792 points. And our African American subgroup scored 824, one of the highest in the whole entire Antelope Valley. The new system, we are gradually improving, and believe me, we're going to be there. We're going to be one of the best schools in the state of California. Thank you for your time. We're available for any questions.
All right. Now we'll give the opponents to the petition 10 minutes.
Good morning. I'm Stacy Bryant, the Deputy Superintendent. We aren't here to oppose charter schools. We have 2 successful charters in our district. GCS is not one of them. Our job is to protect the public trust and student interest through our accountability. As the CDE staff clearly recognizes, there are a number of specific standards specified in the law that agencies must consider when determining whether to grant or deny a charter renewal petition. As reflected in staff's report, guidance renewal petition has failed to satisfy a significant number of the legally prescribed standards, and there are substantive concerns in multiple areas. 2 reminders. First, this is the first renewal for Guidance's high school. It's logical time to review critically their program. Second, yes, this is the 17th year for Guidance Charter, without the typical restraints of Ed Code and having the freedom to create something challenging and exciting. We should see significant academic growth outperforming our own schools. We believe the CDE staff reached the correct conclusion when recommending that the board deny the petition, and encourage all members of the Board of Education to support staff's recommendation.
I am Frances Ufondo, the CBO from Palmdale School District. The guidance charter petition contains financial inconsistencies and fiscal concerns. As was stated right now, the free and reduced lunch that was shown was 94% on the slide, but in the petition it says 80.2%. And I attached this form in the last page of the packet from the district this morning, but in the CalPATs we have 84% free and reduced lunch for guidance charter school. They've never been up to 94%. The petition presented an unrealistic financial and operation plan with very high budget projection that is dependent on the projected enrollment and ADA, which may not materialize. Guidance charter school has MYP shows very high increase in expenditure in 2018-19, about 43.7%, compared to 2017-18, and assumptions, they show unrealistic increases in unduplicated student percentages. Guidance charter school facilities leases will increase from $164,000 annually to $2.3 million annually in 2018-19 school year. This is 15 times more than the 2017-18 that the charter, we think that the charter will not be able to support that if ADA did not materialize, since they have never met their projected enrollment and ADA since the last 3 years. There is a lack of internal control from internal review of supporting documents. Also, the school rented out a house without clear details as to the purpose. For the governance and conflict of interest, Palmdale School District feels very strongly about it, which is very similar to the way the State Board of Education feels, and we are concerned about their violations. Finally, the charter school historically has huge ending fund balance that always exceeds 100% of annual expenditure cost. Our concerns are, 1, They are not spending their funds on students and the educational program based on the data that we reviewed this morning. 2, they have the lowest paid teachers. And 3, the elementary school facilities is atrocious. Funds should be spent on the students that generate the ADA. Charter policies are based on public trust, and students' interest is the key. The question we are asking is, will guidance charter be able to meet the financial obligation in the multi-year projection if the enrollment and ADA did not materialize as projected in the budget? And the answer is no.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Torres. I'm the Director of Human Resources for the Palmdale School District. And, the following slide shows a timeline of oversight visits that we've conducted over the past 5 years, which reflect a pattern of guidance having non-credentialed teachers. The district has made a good faith effort in assisting guidance with their credentialing issues. However, they continue to ignore our request and had their legal counsel send Palmdale a letter indicating that their teachers are not required to be credentialed. Over the past 2 years, there has been a pattern of lack of transparency with guidance, as well as deceptive practices that are prevalent and raise extreme concerns. During the ACC hearing, they testified that all their teachers were credentialed. Within a week of that ACC hearing, we went back and reviewed. They had 7 teachers that are currently not credentialed, as well as several subs teaching these so-called A through G required classes. Okay. In addition, we have had guidance employees contact my office and regarding guidance's failure to pay them correctly, as well as refusing to provide the employees with their legally entitled maternity leave under the federal and state law, which have extreme legal implications.
Good morning. I'm Elena Esquer. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. In discussing academic achievement, which you have heard a lot from the CDE this morning, unfortunately the progress is not what we would hope for given the small classes and the student opportunities advertised and all the things that you heard from the school today. It's been 17 years. Their achievement does not show that, and their educational program is of great concern, especially in the area of mathematics. The data we are presenting this morning was taken from DataQuest and not manipulated in any way. I would like to call your attention to the fact that Guidance Charter's mathematics scores are very low and have failed to show increases school-wide, including student cohort data, in many of the grade levels. Most of our schools are higher, and you would have seen the same trend in the previous 2 years. We are all striving for continuous improvement, but an excessive reserve not spent on students and supplemental materials and support cannot possibly help gain the achievement necessary. Here is the 11th grade comparison in math to the schools the students would have otherwise attended in the Antelope Valley Union High School District. Guidance Charter as well scored well below. The 0 is really quite alarming. Although the petition and even their LCAP mentions hiring high-quality teachers, misassigned teachers or lack of proper credentialing has a connection to such low scores. Here is the 11th grade ELA comparison to the schools the students would have otherwise attended. Guidance Charter scored well below the other 2 schools and the district as a whole. Examining the high school program during our visits was indicative of these results. We saw little evidence of pathway programs as they advertise, few students not really working on specialized skills, students simply delivering on memorized material in such classes as biology and the EMT preparation class without engaging in thought process or critical thinking, as the new standards indicate. Students we spoke with indicated this was common class practice. English learners have also failed to show an increase in CAS scores, and their reclassification rates show slow growth. At the elementary site, English learner curriculum does not exist, and students do not participate in designated or integrated ELD. Neither campus indicated time on the master schedule or ELD was taught to students requiring instruction. The petition also does not describe how teachers will deliver ELD instruction or integrate ELD into the core. No interventions or strategies are listed for working with ELs. There is no evidence that differentiation is occurring, nor that the reclassified students will be monitored throughout the year. The current reclassification rates are low, currently under 10%, well below ours and the high school district's average. We have serious concerns with their vague measurable outcomes for the reasons listed on this slide, but especially with their lack of understanding of RTI, which was mentioned on their WASC report, differentiation and non-alignment to current state standards. The petition does not include the current California standards. We also have concerns for their outcomes of special ed students. We included in your packet letters from our SPED staff who detail the lack of responsiveness from guidance charter staff, including administration, as well as the lack of materials and equipment and working conditions for the staff. IEP accommodations are often not followed, making outcomes questionable. The last thing is A through G, which only had 20% of their students meeting those requirements.
I know we're rushing everyone because we'll run out of time. So good morning, President Kirsten, members of the board. I'm Dina Wilson, and I'm proud to be here today with my team from the county representing the Los Angeles County Superintendent and staff. As you know, the county conducts a thorough and de novo review when we receive any charter petition on appeal. When we did our review, we found similar to the district, and that's the handout that you have before you, has our staff findings on the front page, in which we found they do not meet the minimum requirements for academic requirements for renewal. The program is unsound. The petitioners are demonstrably unlikely to successfully implement, as well as there being a lack of reasonably comprehensive description of all required elements, 9 of which were determined to be not reasonably comprehensive and 6 with deficiencies. As it sounds redundant, but as we know, the most important factor to determine whether or not we renew a charter is their academics. What the county has done, because it is a span school, in the handout that we gave you, is we've disaggregated the data by level, and you can see, with the exception of English language arts at the middle school, guidance charter school falls below the median for all grade spans, and especially atrocious is the 11th grade performance. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I want to assure LA County that we may call on you again, and I have some questions for you too. So, okay, well, I think now we should proceed to the public comment with the assent of the board. All right. All public comments have 1 minute, and so we will now have people line up in order of sign up.
With the following people, please line up: Raul Molandano, Nancy Smith, Bonifacio Garcia, Nick Hagan, Joseph Dunn, Serge Bahna, Marisol Oreso, Jimmy Areta, Ben Areta, Dan Lee, Abdul Amarera, Aman Mershil, Angela Torres, Greta Small, Ashel Portillo, Beatrice Ramirez, Adriana Ramirez, and Eric Premack.
Please identify yourself.
Thank you. Good morning, Raul Maldonado, Superintendent of the Palmdale School District. I'm here to support my staff. We have done a great job in monitoring the Guidance Charter School, but I want to let you know, as an English learner student myself, growing up in the city of Paramount, I had a mom that was very involved because the public school gave me a great opportunity to learn English. And so I worry about the students at Guidance Charter that do not have an ELD period. Not only that, their parents are not allowed to be involved. And so if we don't allow the parents to be involved, how can the parents really find out if this is a great school? Palmdale School District has a fantastic program, but I do worry about the students that are at this school, because if they're not getting an equal education, we talk about the 17 years. You saw a graph in which the Guidance Charter School is comparing themselves to some of our middle schools. Let's compare the charter school to our choice schools, which are Dos Caminos, Dual Immersion Program, Los Amigos, and Palmdale Learning Plaza.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Smith. I'm the president of the Palmdale School Board and retired superintendent. I want to let you know, first off, we know charter schools are here to stay, and we have 2 successful charter schools. This one is not a successful charter school, in our opinion. Guidance Charter was not renewed by the district because of the many deficiencies found. These deficiencies have to do with students. That is our priority, is what are they doing with students. Our staff has tried to work and communicate with guidance. They've either been ignored or that we've been given inaccurate materials, as we found when we went in and did our monitoring. We've been told we need to monitor and do it carefully because they now have this debt that we would be responsible for if we did not monitor. We have another charter school that has the debt also, and we had no problem. We renewed those two in the last year. They were both renewed for 5 years. So we want you to understand we are here to talk about kids. We know we're not going to be the authorizing agency. We know we'll be out of it, but we're here to fight for kids. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bonnie Garcia. I am General Counsel for the Palmdale School District, and I'm here obviously to support the district. A couple of points to be made very quickly. One, you've heard reference to a letter that the district wrote in February of 2017 saying that they were in good standing. I will point out that the district was referring to they're currently in good standing, meaning that we didn't have any efforts at that point in time to go into revocation, in which case the burden would be on us. In addition, we also informed them that they had some issues with respect to their credentialing. We did say that they were being in a cooperative process and they'd given us a plan. Well, guess what? After that, the plan didn't come through, and the people were not, in fact, receiving their credentials. Finally, very quickly, the final offering, a memorandum issued by the charter school, gives investors notice of the problem of the credentials, and also that an authorizing school could revoke the charter if they didn't meet the performance goals, especially with respect to students. So, you know, they're on notice.
Good morning, Board President Kirst and State Board members. I'm Nick Hagan from Piper Jaffray. In early 2017, Piper Jaffray underwrote a $30 million financing for Guidance Charter School. As part of that underwriting, we spent a meaningful amount of time reviewing the status of the charter. We and investors for the bonds relied heavily on representations of Palmdale School District, and in particular on 2 letters written by the district to Guidance Charter School to track the remedy of the issues that were previously identified. The first letter stated that after investigation, the district found no evidence of improper dealings or conflicts of interest with Guidance's board or officers. The second stated that the charter school is in good standing other than with respect to teacher credentialing. The district letter confirmed that Guidance has taken all necessary steps to remedy the credentialing issues. Based on these representations, investors were willing to provide $30 million of capital for new facilities. A non-renewal of the 17-year charter so soon after these types of representations were made does not seem possible or right, will likely have negative effect on other local charter schools trying to access the capital markets. Thank you.
Good morning, Board President Kirst and State Board members. My name is Joseph Dunn. I represent Wilmington Trust, the bond trustee on the bonds issued just last year. Excuse me. The trustee and the bondholders are deeply troubled that mere months after the district represented to the bondholders that the school had a clean bill of health, it voted not to renew a charter it had previously renewed multiple times based on factors that were never brought to the attention of the school or other stakeholders. A non-renewal under these circumstances with a school that has served the community for 17 years is going to have an effect in the capital markets. Charter schools often rely on bond financing to meet the needs of building and acquiring facilities, but investors, like the school and its stakeholders, rely on the existence of an open and fair process excuse me, to evaluate any risk to the school's charter. And the circumstances here will shake the confidence of investors in future projects. Members of the LACO board recognize the risk of that precedent, and it took no action after 3 of 4 members voted to renew. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Suresh Bajnath, principal of the 612 campus. An in-depth review of the CDE data from the dashboard shows that the GCS is consistent with or exceeding some of the levels of comparable districts in the region or vicinity, their performance, including Palmdale School District academic performance per Ed Code 47607. For example, the suspension rate, there was a decline in 3 of the 6 student groups compared to 2 of the 13 student groups in PSD and 5 of the 13 in Antler Valley Union High School District. And for the local indicators, these were not applicable, and instead it defaulted to not met, so it gives a false message about not meeting the standards. In terms of not met, the students who did not meet, they have been shrinking from the past 3 years, and a total of 4.6%, and in language arts and math, 4.2%.
Time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marisol Sorio, and I am the student counselor at the Guidance Charter School. And I just wanted to point out about, our EL students have been increasing. It went from 154 students to 190 students, and 14% of our students reclassified. According to the CELT report, we have been growing in for our advanced students. So for example, in advanced, we grew in the past 3 years by 71%. In early advanced, it will be 33%. Now, another thing I would like to point out is that our A through G courses are approved. 44 of our courses are approved. 5 of our courses are just pending, and we have until the end of this month to submit the rest of the classes as well. And just wanted to let you know that our graduation rate has greatly improved 100% this year, and that's our goal for next year as well. And
Time.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Lee. I'm the contracts CFO at the Guidance Charter School. And my previous experience in over 10 years of school district and charter school audit is over 150 charter school and district audit yearly basis for 10 years. Just to give you a bullet point because we don't have a time. So the Guidance Charter School using 4 different outside auditor for 17 years, and there's a one minor finding in 17 years and back in 2014 and 15. And so they over every finance and in the internal control of financial statement and didn't find anything for different 4 auditor. And also the reserve is built up for last 17 years, and then the school has a budget at least 5 years next. Even though we have a big lease payment that the financially sustained, and then we have a net income at least more than $1 million every year. And then the school has to spend like more than district percentile about the school supply and everything for the kids in the budget. So the charter school is a 17 years community. Please support them. I mean, increase enrollment every year, 17 years, increase our reserve every year. And I'm expecting support is favor for this. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Abdul Wahab Omera. I'm the president of the board of the Guidance Charter School and one of the founders. In 1993, I started working for the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation as a chaplain. And I noticed that many inmates that came to my institution are betrayed by the school systems where they came from. The public school system failed them in that instead of going to college, they were sentenced to prison. That is why the main reason I started the charter school, to give the future generations of our beautiful country a fighting chance to be a good citizen and productive, instead of inmate costing the taxpayers between $40,000 to $60,000 a year. That is why the Guidance Charter School is one of the only schools in the world, or I guess in the nation, that we have our own canine units to sniff drugs and weapons, and that it did. And our students come to us to learn. Our students come to us after they were being bullied, offered drugs, and did not feel comfortable in the learning environment. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name's Benjamin and I'm going to talk about why I love this school. I love this school because we have a very good principal and a great director, Mr. Akatib. We have great staff and parents, and this school also teaches different languages like Arabic, and we can say stuff like hi, how are you, and a lot of other stuff. We are worrying about the school closing lately, and if it closes, then I will be homeschooled because I don't trust any other school. I love this school, so please don't close it. That's why I love this school. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jamira Eta, also known as Ben's mom. I can stand here and focus on how much I enjoy working here, how much I care and respect these people, and how much as a mother of 3 students, I love this school. But this isn't what keeps the school going, is it? It's not. Numbers is. Results are. So I'm here respectfully asking for you to carefully review the data presented by our team. Are we here trying to paint the perfect school? Of course not. There's always room for improvement. But isn't it true that it takes a village to raise a child? Well, this is a guidance village, raising 900 students. That's 900 families in our community. We're all here, board. We're ready. Imagine us with our shovels and our hard hats ready. Tell us where we need to improve on, and we're ready to do the work. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Iman, and I'm here to tell you this straight from my heart that I love this school so much. It's one of the best things I've ever had in my life. It's the best, and I never want it to close.
Tell them.
It has great teachers, and it's always gonna be the best school I've ever been to. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ashley. I think the Guidance Charter School was the best school I've ever been to. I'm really sad if you guys close the school because it's a second house for me. I've been there for like around 8 years now, and I think it's a great school for me. For my sisters too, I have never felt very happy for being a great student there, and I'm very excited for that school, and hopefully you guys don't close it. Thank you.
I had a whole speech planned out, but Iman's one of my kids. I'm the P-TECH president. I also am the committee chairperson for our Cub Scouts. As far as parents not being involved, that's just a lie. We're allowed on that campus. We are told every day by our principal to come. Don't even call. I want you to come. I want you to come see that classroom. And I have been welcome. I am always welcome on that campus. And everybody else is as well. My kids, they're 9 and 10. They'll be 4th and 5th graders. If the school closes, I don't have another option. Palmdale School District is their class sizes are too big, and they have failed my child once, and I don't know what we'll do. We will move, or we will homeschool, or we will do something. My kids are on their track to be an astrophysicist and veterinarian. They scored above average on their last test. They are inquisitive, they're curious, and they are being served well by guidance.
Good morning. My name is Greta Small, and I have 3 grandchildren that attend the K-6 campus. And my first grader, he was having a problem keeping up academically, and he was sent to the office, and that's where he personally met Dr. Briggs, the principal there. And he began to cry, and Dr. Briggs told him, said, "Don't cry. Let's try to get to the problem." And Dr. Briggs really talked to him and explained to him, when you're having a problem, you have to let someone know. Because if you don't, no one knows that you're having a problem. And that really, really impacted my grandson, my 6-year-older. He came home and he told me about it, and he also talked to some of his friends in the neighborhood, some of the other younger kids in the neighborhood, and he was just telling them, yes, I did wrong, I didn't handle things right. He said, but now I know how to handle things right, so we can get down to the real problem. And that really has not only impacted me as a grandmother, but also my 6-year-older and some of his friends. Thank you so much.
I'll be translating for her.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es Emma Cornejo.
I'm Emma Cornejo.
Soy madre de 6 niños que están en la escuela, la cual se está discutiendo.
I am the mother of 6 students for the school that we're discussing.
Me siento preocupada y triste al ver que mis hijos se sienten tristes porque el problema que está pasando con su escuela.
I'm very worried and saddened to see that my kids are saddened by the problem that the school is facing.
Yo nunca he tenido problemas ni ninguno con la escuela. Al contrario, como dije en la otra corte, yo estoy muy agradecidos con ellos porque en cierta ocasión yo les pedí ayuda.
As I mentioned last time, I've never had a problem with the school. Quite on the contrary, they've helped me. I've been able to come to them with the problem that I have.
Y sin saber ellos el motivo por el cual yo pedía la ayuda, ellos estuvieron en bien en proveer el transporte para mis hijos, porque esa era parte de mi preocupación.
Without knowing the reason as to why I was asking for help, the school was willing to help me with transportation to be able to get my kids to school.
Como dije en otra ocasión, tengo un problema de salud en el cual he tenido emergencias.
I have a health problem that brings on a lot of emergencies.
Y me sentía preocupada porque en ciertas ocasiones he quedado ingresada en el hospital y no he tenido quien recogiera a mis hijos y ahora me han ayudado en esta forma.
And I was very concerned because many times I would be hospitalized out of the blue and I wouldn't have anybody to pick up my children, and they were able to help me with the transportation.
Yo les agradezco con respeto y les doy las gracias por todo lo que están haciendo a bien para la escuela.
I am very grateful to them and everything they're trying to do for the school.
Y les doy las gracias.
And I thank you.
¿Quieres que te ayude?
Good afternoon. My name is Jenna Ramirez, and I feel really sad why you guys are going to close school, or I don't know if you guys are, but please don't close it because it's the best school I ever had.
Good morning, Lorraine Richards, California Teachers Association. The district and county has denied renewal, and CTA supports the denial. This charter, despite the long time in existence, has not done well for students and has issues with, as mentioned, special ed, IEP compliance, A to G having been low. According to the dashboard, there's also a failed increase in mathematics. There is an orange pie for a suspension rate. EL students have a lack of support too. There's also another mention regarding credentialed teachers not being at a high rate for that population. And if they also spent the money and had the high credential, the credentialed teachers, all those potential issues could have also been changed. So again, CTA supports the denial. Thank you.
Eric Premack, Charter Schools Development Center. I typically avoid speaking out on schools where I don't know a ton about the situation, and this is not one of our organization's member schools, but after listening to the very long back and forth at the ACCS, and again, a little bit of the back and forth, and you've only heard a tiny slice of it today, I just felt compelled to speak out because we find the district's actions in this case to be very distressing and disturbing. Many of the allegations that you're hearing today, if you hear the thorough explanation behind them, you're going to find out that a lot of these are not very substantive. So for example, there's this allegation that they bought a house for non-educational reasons. Well, they acquired the house because they needed an access easement to the site that they've acquired. And so it's just one of many examples of allegations that are being hurled here that I think have no substantive basis, and I find very disturbing, and I hope that you'll have the time here to unpack this and get a fuller look. Thank you.
And so now I think we're ready for board member questions. We want to take a break, perhaps? Yes. All right. We will take a break and come back at 10:20. All right, the board will reconvene. I want to stress that this is a continuation of item 21. We are on concerning the guidance charter school. So now we have time for board member questions. And I'd like to start by asking Los Angeles County to come up. And a few questions for you. So you had a 3-to-1 vote. How many members are on your board? We have a 7-member board. So you barely had a quorum at that meeting. So, okay, I just wanted to establish that. I don't know whether you had 5 or 7 members and whether this was.
Yes, we have 7 and we had a quorum of, is it this red button? We have a 7-member board. That evening, there were 4 members, which is a quorum.
Okay. And you never had a, you only had a minute to present your findings. So, I'd like to hear more about your findings and what the board's reasoning was.
So the superintendent's recommendation was for denial. And based on the findings that were in the handout that we gave, the first one being that they did not meet the minimum academic criteria to be considered for renewal, an unsound educational practice, and we based that on many of the deficiencies within the petition that were mentioned before, EL programs, et cetera, but also looking at their past performance. And the California Code of Regulations says that if they failed to meet the measurable pupil outcomes in their charter, or failed to meet that minimum academic criteria, that is an unsound educational practice. So that was part of our findings as well. Multiple indicators showed that they were demonstrably unlikely to successfully implement. We saw many of the operational issues that the district has pointed out, in addition to some others that were mentioned by the CDE staff, and also the petition deficiencies that were numerous.
So talk to me about it, the academic. When you look at the dashboard indicators and you look at the district, they're not, to me, wildly different from, I've seen, 5 reds and I don't see that here, yeah. So what measurable objectives, what can you say what those are?
So we looked at CASP scores, and as we know with the dashboard, it was set up intentionally that you cannot look at the number of reds or blues to compare a school to school because we're looking at both status and change.
Right.
So we look at CASP data directly to look at what percentage of students are actually meeting or exceeding standards. That's a pretty clear metric. And so that's what we base this on. And then we disaggregate it by grade level. So that when we're comparing the school to school, we took the 3rd through 6th grade scores only to compare that to the other schools in the area, their 3rd through 6th grade. Same thing with 6th through 8th grade span. And then for the high school, we have 11th grade CASP scores only. Other indicators that we feel are terribly important for the high school would be that dropout rate and graduation rate. And that's what we used, and we found that particularly for dropout rate, which is the last page of the packet that I provided earlier, that they perform lower than all of the high schools in the area, with the exception of 3 of the charter schools that are listed. Their graduation rate, cohort graduation rate for 2016 was only 72.7%. And their cohort dropout rate for that same year was almost 23%, which is about 3 times what the high school districts is.
Okay. Other questions by the county, by any board members? Yes. Board member Schwartz.
So I do have a question just on the data, because I saw a discrepancy of their special ed service, where the information we were shared with us is that it's 0.7 like less than 1% students with disabilities, but then they said they had 17%. Do you have a sense of what the enrollment of students with disabilities?
When we looked up the 2016-17 enrollment demographics for Guidance Charter School, it showed a 7% of students with disabilities.
Which is lower than the typical average of special ed students. Is that right?
It is correct, and it's the Palmdale Elementary School District has a 13% special ed population, and the Antelope Valley Union High School District of that area is at 14% the same year.
Okay, board member Burr, were you? Yeah.
I actually have a question of Lisa. Could you go back to the very beginning of your presentation? You talked about what the criteria are for renewal. And I'd like you to refresh our memory, because I feel like we have conflicting data here. Some people are comparing here, some people are comparing here, using lots of different data. So could you tell us what we're supposed to base our decision on?
Okay. So the Ed Code says that the entity that granted the charter, so this in essence would be the school district, they determine that the academic performance of the charter school is at least equal to the academic performance of the public schools that the charter school pupils would otherwise have been required to attend, as well as academic performance of the schools in the school district in which the charter school is located, taking into account the composition of the pupil population that is served at the charter school. And then it goes on to say the district shall consider increases in pupil academic achievement for all groups of pupils served by the charter school as the most important factor in determining whether to grant a charter renewal.
You have, and I'm looking at your PowerPoint, I don't know if you want to pull it back up again, but
yes,
the CDE findings, you're comparing it then to the schools that you just described in the statute.
Yes.
And did you, but the one piece I just wonder about, because I don't know these other schools, it says taking into account the pupil population being served by the charter. Do we know that these schools here are comparable in pupil composition?
We did look at ensuring that the enrollments were comparable, yes.
Okay. And then the second issue I wanted just to raise is the issue about credentialing. I didn't hear anything about credentialing in that renewal.
Correct.
But I heard lots of allegations about credentialing. And we've had this conversation many times around charters before. There is flexibility allowed to charters about credentialing. Their court teachers have to have credentials that match their subject matter, but they do have a lot of flexibility in non-core teachers. So I want to get that on the record. I think we need to be really crystal clear when we're communicating with LEAs about what their requirements are, so that we don't continue to have that. But more importantly, that people understand that's not really an issue for us. It may be way down the list of a concern on a policy basis. But for purposes of renewal, we've got very specific criteria that do not include that.
But what's the core teacher certification? Yeah, I couldn't sort that out in this, because that's what I was trying to hone in on, and I got lost on this.
We did, when the information we pulled was from the district findings about in their oversight, the teacher credentialing issues that they did find. The district may want to clarify some of that a little bit, but that was just part of the additional information we provided as what the district found in their oversight.
Yeah, and did you compare their certification of this school to the district? A lot of districts around me, some of them extremely wealthy, are really having teacher recruitment problems, and you know are using teachers that are interns and so on. So this is, you know, not a time when we're flush with teachers. So
right, we didn't look at that, sir. We didn't look at the other schools. We really just pulled that information from part of the district's oversight. We didn't do a comparison across other schools for teacher credentialing.
Okay, board member Ortiz-Lacone is next.
Yeah, my question was actually for the county, since they were up here regarding the pending lawsuits. And if you could tell us, are these still pending lawsuits? Was this something that you can give us an update on? The discrimination lawsuits.
I will have our General Counsel, Deputy General Counsel Patrick Saldana address that for you.
So as of the date of our board hearing, those were active lawsuits. I haven't checked to see whether they have been settled since that time. But shortly after our board hearing, a fourth lawsuit was actually filed by the EEOC, alleging that a female tutor was being paid at a different rate than a male tutor, and that is currently an active case.
And so these are very disturbing in the grounds of them as well. But is there anything else that you found since then, or that, whether it be these pending lawsuits or anything else that we should be aware of?
I'm not aware of any other lawsuits since that time, but we also haven't run another check to see if there's been anything since then. Their counsel may be able to provide an update as far as the status of those cases.
But these are all allegations at this point, just clearing this up, yeah. Yes. There is no decisions on any of these, is that?
That is correct. There was no judgment on any of these or any trial that had taken place at that time.
Okay, Board Member Rucker.
Well, I do also have some questions for the county, so thank you for staying at the microphone. I want to begin by saying that, you know, it's always an assumption that when charter appeals get to the board level that the emotions are quite high. And as I prepared and did the study and reading on these, on this material, it was clear that there were two different narratives that were evolving that the board is being asked to consider in making this decision. And in listening today, there's an additional part to this narrative that has come up. Part of what I heard today and part of the information that was shared with the board that falls in the category of things we're not supposed to consider, but they're out there, are some very inflammatory accusations that have been made about the staff and about activities at the school. But what I would like to ask you to clarify for me is information that's actually in these packets. There's information from the charter about the academic performance of their program that has them performing as well as the top half of the schools in the district. Then there's information that's provided from the dashboard by the county office that shows them performing about as well as most of the schools in the school district that these students would return to if the school itself was closed. Is there a difference in the data that the charter actually used in presenting to us and the data that you looked at, or did you all look at the same data and come up with two different conclusions? And I'm asking that with all seriousness because it's material to what the two very different narratives about the quality of this school is based on your perspective and the perspective of the school and the district itself.
We pull our data directly from what's publicly available through the CDE, and that's what's represented in the packet here. Because we have a span school and we have in that Antelope Valley, there are multiple elementary school districts and a large high school district. Rather than separating the list by resident school and then what would be comparable schools, we put all of the schools that are available in that area for students to choose and families to choose, and then disaggregate it by the grade level, because we felt that that really gives a comparison of all of the schools in that area. The only thing that we removed would be community day schools or alternative continuation schools.
And are you aware, and this may not be a question you can answer, so it's okay if you say I don't know, are you aware if there has been any conversation with the school as a result of their bringing their petition to you on appeal concerning school change or school improvement, what it is that would inform any work the school would need to do to improve the performance of their students? Was any of that contemplated in their petition or in their LC, in their LCAP?
We did not see plans for future improvement, if any, as we do with some of our other charter petitions on renewal, where it's clear that there are some areas for improvement. We have not really heard any of that. The charter petition itself had not seemed to have been updated to really reflect some of the populations that they serve or some of the new legal requirements related to those populations.
That's why I'm asking that question, because I couldn't find that either. So I was hoping that was just information that just wasn't given to us, because I didn't find that. Okay, I'm going to ask the school the same question. Thank you. Could I ask the school petitioners to come up?
You may.
The school itself. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same question that I just asked the county. In submitting your petition to the county for them to approve your charter, there are some clear gaps in performance for your students. Yet in the petition, in the presentation you made to us for this presentation today, you know, the flags are flying and everything is great. In my opinion, the flags are not. The flags are at half staff and everything is not great. I looked at your LCAP. What is your improvement plan to address raising the achievement of these students, particularly for those that your dashboard says that there are performance problems? I do see in the dashboard that there were improvements, but they're not significant enough to say that you are outpacing the other schools in the district, in my opinion. And it is only my opinion, but I am one vote. So I want to understand, in your LCAP, how do you believe that you're going to be going forward addressing improvement for those students in a way that shows an impact? Because I didn't see it in this petition. And if academic improvement or academic progress is supposed to be the principal determiner about this charter, what is it that you've done that makes me think you know what you're doing to improve this?
You know, I am the executive director, so I'm going to bring my two principals who actually already put the plan together and was approved. And I would like to call Dr. Briggs. You have, I don't know if you included in the PowerPoint presentation. Was it included? Yeah, the action plan. We took, you know, we had the different.
Well, I'd like to start with your high school principal, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm high school. Middle and high. Yeah. So with WASC, we have an action plan that's going on, and it involves several components. And I'm going to identify each one of them that are actually happening, but nobody ever asked us to give them in writing.
Okay.
Except WASC.
Okay, I understand.
And that's our instructional program having core and intervention, making sure we address those needs, making sure that we fulfill the textbook requirements for core and intervention, making sure that our master's.
Let me ask you, what does that mean?
The textbooks.
Yeah, I understand that, but what does that mean, making sure
every child has
fulfill,
access to a textbook?
Does that finding mean every child did or did not have access to?
No, every child does have access to a textbook.
Well, why was that a WASC finding?
No, there was no WASC finding. I'm just going over the plan that we have in place at the school to ensure that we know what we're doing to improve student outcomes.
Okay, so but that wasn't a finding.
No,
Okay, go on.
Our master schedule needs to serve all the students with core and intervention, make sure that's properly designed, making sure we have fully credentialed teachers and EL certified teachers, monitoring student achievement, lesson pacing schedules, ongoing instructional assistance and support to teachers, professional learning communities, and monthly collaboration for staff, and fiscal support to back up all of the above that I just mentioned.
Okay, so what changes does that mean you believe you've made in your program based on all of those things you've enumerated that are part of the WASC report? What changes were specifically recommended for your school?
From WASC?
Mhm.
WASC mentioned more efficient use of technology, making sure that our RTI program during the school day was implemented with fidelity, and making sure that the staff received appropriate professional development from outside sources. Those were the three specific findings.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you this teacher credentialing question. Is it at the middle school and high school, or at the elementary school where the teacher credentialing issue?
The credentialing question came up, I came on board 2016, 17, and when I came on board, the verbal audit identified several teachers that were misassigned or did not have the right credentials.
At the middle school, high school, or at the elementary
Both.
school? At both?
Both, yeah.
And what was the subject areas they were misassigned in?
I believe ASL sign language, there was one section that had the wrong a title that did not match the teacher's credential. Every time we made a decision to rectify something, we would call the county office.
I understand. Was ASL sign language the only one?
High school right now. ASL was one. The yearbook, the medical and health class teacher had to fulfill some classes to get her CTE credential. She got that straightened out. And then there was...
And for the students taking that, were they getting credit for science or for CTE?
They were getting, for the medical program, CTE.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there was the yearbook teacher. We had to make sure that the classes, the sections she had, were within the description of her credential. Again, we checked with the county office to make sure that the decisions we made were accurate, compatible, legal.
Okay.
And middle school, if I could extend the answer. Middle school, I remember now, there was one teacher with a multiple who was teaching single subject, and I immediately switched that around so he could teach multiple subject.
Okay.
And you know, whatever areas were identified, that was the case.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because I'm not done. So with the WASC report, were there any change, did it require any changes in your LCAP based on the information or recommendations?
No, I have the full report, and there was no mention of LCAP needed to be changed.
Okay, so there was nothing in the academic program or in the intervention or improvement plan
Those
that
were-
would have affected your LCAP? Because I didn't see any changes in your LCAP
No.
that were submitted or done for the all right.
No, those three areas were the three specific areas they pinpointed.
Okay, and then for the elementary you're the elementary principal? Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you for the improvement plan again, because your academic achievement does say that there's some gaps identified, but because you're the person who made the presentation to the board about the academic program, are you saying that there is no academic concerns for your school, or that there are some things that need to be addressed?
No, there are a number of things that need to be addressed.
Okay, but that's not what you talked about.
No, I'm sorry. So let me clarify, if you don't mind. And I'll say that with any school, there are a number of areas that need to be addressed.
Again, but that's not what you talked about.
Our school has areas in which we need to address, and we've addressed those areas by implementing. We have, our data is driving our instruction. We have a viable RTI plan that is looking at improving the academic needs of every student. We have our EL program is one that meets the needs of our students. Our SPED program as well. One of the issues that I'm going to, if you don't mind, our SPED program, we know that we had issues with our SPED program. We know that. But our SPED program was outsourced to our chartering district. So
Okay, these are the kinds of things
Our
that
chartering
that
district.
I would like to have known.
Yes.
This is what I meant when I said there's a third narrative that
Yes.
that is rising up today. That's for me important for me to
Yes.
know. You know where the gap is in the performance of your school, particularly with the student
Yes.
populations you named, your EL program and your SPED. Knowing that you are contracting out services to your SPED students stops me from asking the next question about the SPED students. I'm gonna make my last question, since I know you contract out services for your SPED students. What exactly are you doing to address the performance gap of your English learners? What is your plan? Because I didn't read that.
I do apologize for not providing it, but our plan is we do a separate benchmark for our EL students, and that benchmark shows us where our students are in addition to where they are with the state and LCAP or LPAC. But with that, we look at our students and we provide them before school, after school, and also during school assistance. And with that, we are plugging the gaps. When we bring the parents in on Saturdays, we have programs that are going on during the summer in the morning that I have to address those needs of those students. So we are doing everything we can beyond the bell to work with those students to help them achieve, to be proficient, above proficient.
Okay, I understand that. The reason I'm asking that question is because I heard the counselor talk about the high numbers of ELs that are being reclassified, and the reclassification report doesn't quite match with what the academic performance of those students as a subgroup shows on the dashboard. So that's why I'm trying to understand what your program is, because that was not something I clearly understood when I was studying your Petition before I came to the hearing today. So there's a gap in the data that doesn't quite match up for me about what was reported on reclassification that I don't understand. So I appreciate what you just said, but I have to tell you, frankly, you used a lot of mega terms to explain what you're doing for EL students and not a lot of specifics. But I'm thankful to know that you recognize there is a performance issue and that there is an improvement plan that's needed. But what you just explained still doesn't really fully answer my question. But I do appreciate what you did explain, because I have more information than I did when I read through what was submitted in writing. So I appreciate that.
Karen Valdez.
So I can ask you this question, and I'd also like to ask the same question to the county. Looking at your ending fund balances for the next 3 years out, and we know that they're projections, and you're going anywhere from $10 million to $16 million. How do you end up with a reserve of over 100% each year?
So the school has basically to say that the budget is probably planned well. I mean, we spend like probably 55% of the revenue. Majority of SFF right now is spent for the teacher salary and benefit, which is significantly lower than actually the district. I'm not saying that our teacher is underpaid. I don't think so. We have overflow teachers, and then teachers and student ratio is pretty competitive with the district. So, and then we still spend like more than 10% of the supplies directly to the student. So I think we enough spending it, but we have a well plan. Our admin part, not the teacher, is they are probably, but something like I'm the contract, the CFO, then my department as back office has 10 people, which is probably well budget management and then more independent than actually hire 6 people at the site and then pay all the benefits. So school has all the plan as a make a better plan and save the money for probably over the years. So we spend more than 80% of our revenue is spent for the educational system. I mean, I think that's the required from the recommendation from state that we spend enough money, but we have a well plan that reserved every year for the last 17 years, now reaches $9 million as of now, and then you probably plan to reserve more in the future. I mean, but there's unnecessary expenditure, probably one that we just eliminated. I mean, but 100% reserve is a problem that like a charter school has no place to go if we don't have money. And then we have a big, like a lesson, probably 2007 of the recession going on. And then now we have a well plan for the strategic plan for the next 5 or 10 years, make sure this school is sustainable for the next 10 years. That's the building project associated with. I mean, we have $31 million bonds, and then we have a plan for next 5 years budget. The enrollment growth is steadily, like we not jump up from the probably 200 to 1,000. Right now, the enrollment is 900, it goes to the 9,000, and 1,200, 1,400 we maxed out because of facility capacity. So based on that, enrollment projection, first phase, yeah. So enrollment projection, we still have a net income at the bottom and make sure that all the money we can support as we did to all the student. And at the same time, we make sure our budget and the money is sustainable. We probably has a reserve more in the future, and then make sure there's any emergency that we can able to spend that money for the student.
So I've never heard of this kind of a reserve level. I mean, typically it's 5%. So when you think about your total budget, you said you're spending about 55% on staffing. Is that correct? Is that what I just
heard? Right now it's currently 55. It might be increased because STIR and PERS rate is going to be increased probably next 3 years more.
And typically for most districts, it's about 85% of the budget is spent on staffing. And why is there that discrepancy with you?
I mean, there's substantially low cost for the admin side. So district has a lot of admin, the classified employee.
So I'm talking about your organization, your school, and I'm looking at the salary of the executive director, and it goes up to $270,000, which is, you're comparable to a superintendent, but that's what superintendents in larger districts make. So I guess when you're saying you're paying low, who are you paying low?
The classified, he's an executive director, but for example, accounting clerk, payroll department, probably a little bit lower than actually compared to the district. I mean, all the probably sub-teacher rate, I mean, probably a little bit lower, but not really significant low.
Yes, but in comparison, those are low-paid employees anyway. And so, anyway, that was one question I would like to ask. Excuse me?
Yeah, he's not making 270. I don't know where it's 270.
Well, there's a scale in the in the CDE. It was from 215 to 270. That was what was listed. I'm sorry? Okay.
17 is
Can you
his salary.
put this on the record? We can't hear what you're saying.
Oh yeah, his salary is not 270. His salary is 217.
The range is 215 to 270 in the.
And then just the further
just the
information.
statement for a school of 900.
Wait a minute, it's 215,000 is what you're saying?
217,000 for executive.
270,000.
Correct. 17.
17,
Yes.
okay.
But the pay range.
217,000, not 270,000.
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't hear.
Yes, the pay range goes from 215 to 270. That's what I was speaking to. So could I ask the county a question then in terms of the budget? Thank you. So just an open-ended question. Did you have any fiscal concerns with the reserve amount that they are holding? And how much is really going to educational needs as opposed to building?
So one of our findings we did have a finding about lacking a reserve, and what we mean by that is they don't have a specific line item set aside to make sure that reserve is not spent. But as far as having a positive ending cash balance, yes, we did see that. We are concerned, and we did raise that concern about the money going to things such as the increases in rent. They currently are in a site through the district, which they pay less than $200,000 for rent, and they're moving into a new campus, which they're going to pay almost $2 million in rent and operations, and that was a concern. It's approximate for the new campus locations. We're looking at 1.6 million. If you're looking at the leases moving forward, there's been a tremendous increase. It does have to do with the fact that they've now have their own building that they are building. But we did think that that was significant. And
annually?
Yes, per year. And that it also, in that particular area, that's a very high rate for the cost of land and rent.
But they plan to expand students, so have you projected how that would affect this? I mean, if you spend more and you increase your student body by a lot, there's you got to put a net here rather than, it's an increase.
So we do analyze it based on what they're projecting their enrollment to be. Right now, I believe they're at 750 something students, and they're looking at for next year being over 900, close to 1,000. It's not as significant of an increase in student body that, and space-wise, that we think warrants that big of an increase.
They have a longer-term plan to increase. Yeah. I mean, if they build a facility, they're not, they weren't planning to have it mostly empty, I don't think.
No, not at all. We know that they are planning to increase their enrollment.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one last question. On their LCAP, did you review their LCAP in the process?
So we review the LCAP, and we do look at the LCAP as far as goals and what's in their charter petition, the LCAP light version, to make sure that they are addressing all of the 8 state priorities and including the required metrics, and we did not find that that was the case.
That they were not meeting all priorities?
That they did not include all of the required metrics in their plan moving forward.
And what about the financial part of the LCAP?
We did not. We don't really review what was...
for charters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Schwartz.
So I have some county questions as well. So could you talk about what you found in the conflict of interest? Because in my reading of the documentation, I was incredibly disturbed by the conflict of interest. We're really careful about that, and I've worked in schools my whole career. So could you share the findings of the conflict of interest? And I have a few more questions.
So we had concerns about some of the related party transactions here, as far as the executive director also being the founder of the American Islamic Institute, where they are building this facility and paying this higher rate of rent. We had concerns about some of these policies, which allowed for up to 49% of the board to essentially be financially interested parties.
Can you say that again? Up to, I couldn't quite. 49% of the board?
Up to 49% of the board could have essentially financial interests. Board members do that.
we're going to say 5, but
So
we're not.
we believe it's 5 board members on the board, so it would be up to 2 of those.
And they'd be allowed to have financial interest in what? I'm sorry to quiz you, but obviously the conflict of interest is of concern.
Okay. Yeah, it was just a statement in their bylaws. And they also allow the creation of committees to approve contracts to which the corporation is a party and one or more of its directors has a material financial interest. We felt that their policies were not consistent with Government Code Section 1090. They allow contracts with individuals who have a direct financial interest in those contracts as long as that individual recuses themselves from the vote.
For the related parties, there is a foundation that also has the same members involved as well.
So we have 900 kids here. I'm LA County. I understand the Palmdale area. There's 900 kids in families, or 750 kids who've been going to this school for a long time. We're in July. School opens in August, maybe in a month, 6 weeks at the most. There must have been, or I wonder if there's been a plan, because they've been denied twice already, so we're the final appeal. Have you asked what the plan is for these students? Are there space in the local school? I mean, we got kids crying in front of us, parents who are planning. I know as a parent and a grandparent, I'm worried about where my kids go. You got a school half built and kids here. What's the plan if we uphold the decisions? Have you explored that?
And that's obviously a better question for the district to respond to, but we have asked the district, if you have space, are you ready to reabsorb these kids? And they have said yes, that they do have space within their programs currently for the students at the charter school. And like you said, because they've been denied by the district in the past, since then, the district always keeps in mind that the school may end up being closed if the appeals are not successful. And I would hope that the school had been informing their families throughout this process.
Could I have the charter first and then the district to address the issue of the students? I mean, these kids came with their parents' guidance for a hope of a safe and wonderful school to provide them a good place to grow and thrive. And so I'm worried about kids now and what we're going to provide for them and what the plans are. So first, and then I'd ask the district to follow up. You're in July and school opens in August. If the decision stays the way it's been, what are your plans for your students?
Okay, right now we have today's appeal, and we are also have applied for Antelope Valley High School District, which at the beginning they promised our support, and at the date of the vote they voted 3-2.
For what?
So to deny us.
For a new charter?
For a new charter. That charter is being already appealed to the county. And I want to just to clarify something about the county vote, because there's a lot
I need to just clarify, and I'm glad for you can do that. But when you applied for a new charter, in case this doesn't go through, you were denied. What's your timing? I'm worried about the kids.
We have actually our legal advisor. She's gonna.
The timing is obviously extremely challenging. You're right, it's July 12th, and school would open in, I think, in actually less than a month. So there is a new charter petition that was submitted to Antelope Valley Union High School District. So Palmdale's an elementary district. This is the high school district where they're located. That charter was denied 3-2, and it's currently on appeal to LA County.
What's the timing for that?
I think it's August.
So what are the plans for these kids? I mean, you must have, I'm hoping you're thinking about them needing a place to start school in less than a month. What's the plan? Are you going to keep them homeschooled until this gets resolved? What's the thinking?
Yeah, right now we are basically doing everything we can to keep the school open, and we have August, because we have a July 24 hearing. Actually, Daryl Brown is here. He can tell you that. This is what he told me. We have July 24th hearing, and we have August decision. God willing, God forbid that you don't approve it today. And that will be our our plan to open it by August 24th.
But you've had several denials, so I'm just asking, do you have any backup plans for these families and these children? I know you're hoping, and I understand that, but any insurance or safety net for the families?
All I can tell you that we're gonna exhaust all of our legal options.
Okay, so let me just ask the district then, because we've got 750 students here, and I'm just concerned that the students have a place to go, because it sounds like the timing is tight, so school's going to open before the appeals are done. So can I just have a representative from the district? Let's say school's going to open and this school can't open because what happens? What's the plan? I'm worried for kids.
Ms. Strauss?
Yes.
Great question. And I can assure you that in the Palmdale School District, we're ready to take all the students in. We have enough space. However, it is their choice. We have an independent studies program. We have 2 other charter schools that are doing a fantastic job. Our school district has been very proactive in going after grants. And I think the charter school mentioned that all of our middle schools now are magnet schools. We received a $15 million grant from the feds to improve our middle schools. We have dual immersion schools. We have K-5 schools. And our K-5 schools are very low in numbers, because what we decided to do was to create academies at the middle schools. So we pushed all the middle school students, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, because we are an elementary school district, to the middle school. We opened up a brand new Aero Sage school that can take up to 1,200 students, but we have others, Shadow Hills, Cactus. I mean, we have enough space and enough seating in the regular school if the parents would like to come back.
Okay.
We'd like to take them back. I'm not saying that we wouldn't, but that's not the argument that we wanted to bring to you.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, the argument that we wanted to bring to you is that we are concerned about the students. So the staff is here. I don't know if they want to add anything else, but again, Palmdale School District does have the space, sitting space, and has used the budgets appropriately to put into our classrooms technology. All of our classrooms have Promethean boards. A lot of training goes out to make sure that the teachers are well-trained, that we have experts in English language development, that we have a great rate of reclassification. I mean, we take into account all of those. And not only that, we're implementing what we call the Palmdale Promise, which says every school will have a parent room. And let me tell you, we are reaching that goal because we want our parents to be involved with our schools. And so we are extremely happy to receive the students, but it will be a parent choice.
Okay. Oh, you want to ask a different question? Go ahead.
I actually have two questions for you. One, I was concerned by the public testimony from the bond folks who said that they had received assurance from the district when the bonds were being issued. And they based their decisions on those assurances. So that's a huge deal to me, that they've got bonds out there and a brand new building that's going to sit there. So can you help me with that? And then the second one, I'll ask, so you're all up there.
I will allow our legal counsel to address that question.
Okay, but let me ask the second question,
Sure.
and you can figure out how you want to do it. I'm again concerned by, we have very conflicting data, and I want to know whether the academic data that you presented is the identical data to what the department is providing to us for our basis of decision, because the counties is not. I went through the counties, it's very different. And so it's really hard for us to sort out what is really a comparable piece of data on which we can make a decision.
Which question would you like us to answer? The first one?
In that order.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's answer the first one.
The letters which there's been a lot of made of are nothing more than what's the status of this district, of this charter school right now. And that was as of February 2017.
And what changed?
A couple of things. First, with respect to the credentialing didn't.
That doesn't have anything to do with the financial
Yes,
stuff.
that's fine. But those were the things in our letters.
But
to
you
the
were
bondholders.
giving us,
Okay.
assurances that they were financially sound.
No, we didn't give any assurances like that. The only thing we said was, hey, they're in good standing, meaning we hadn't revoked their charter, that they were a charter in good standing. And what changed was when they submitted their application the following year, Then we went and engaged in our regular due process and review. And in the part of that review, the other things came up in terms of
Have annual oversight responsibilities, those were not coming up in your annual oversight for 17 years?
what came up for us were we did have concerns with respect to allegations that were being made, and we made investigation on a case-by-case basis on individual transactions. So we reviewed those individual transactions at that time. So that's the reference, because there were some very serious allegations. We looked into it, and in fairness, we determined there wasn't a problem. However, none of those issues are the issues that are being raised with respect to the financial, and then with respect to the review of a new request for charter, including the performance outline. Our letter only said, hey, are they in good standing right now? Yeah, they're good standing right now. Right now. We weren't making a reference to forever. That was just at that moment.
To hear about the academic performance. Thank you.
Yes, so what we did was we just looked at DataQuest, and we were able to just pull the numbers. So we had requested from the charter to give us a list of where the students would have attended, what their homeschool would have been. Okay. And it was a several-page list. And we just looked, and basically every one of our schools was accounted for. And so we just literally just started plugging in all the numbers. Based on DataQuest, what we gave you was exactly, very straightforward, exactly what it is.
Okay, thank you.
But I want to, before Karen, I want to allow the charter school to respond to these comments that were made to Board Member Strauss's question on the conflicts and those sorts of things. I think they deserve the right to be able to speak to those issues, because those, we just found out the salary is very different than I was told.
Hi, back again. Become professional speaker now. So I'm going to point out a few things out that we discussed about. The first thing, I'll probably come back and explain a little bit more about the budget, about how come we have so much reserve. And then I just, the top of my head when they're talking, the district talking, yes, we are in Prop 39 for the high school, that we don't pay the regular market value of the pay of the facility use. So we only pay the 1%, which is a huge save. Now we go back to the normal payment. I mean, $2 million for how many, what's a square foot? Like 100 square foot. And I studied the market value about the square foot area, and then based on the ADA, yes, we're gonna have an increase our ADA. It's gonna be probably, yes, the 100,000 pretty much, like I said, yeah. I mean, the land itself?
The building.
Building itself, so. That's a pretty huge building, and we make it ready for last 16 years to be ready for the kid in Palmdale community. That's first thing. Conflict of interest, the second thing. The conflict of interest is very sensitive. So the school made a decision that LLC and foundation, the executive director from the school is nothing to deal with it. We have a separate board. I'm the advisory person, and I directly report to the board directly. I'm the only one, not the only one, but LLC board and foundation, we have a monthly meeting. And then once the decision maker, we report to the executive director. So ED report to the school as an information section. So conflict of interest is mentioned. I don't know what part is they talking about. That they have a totally separate board and a totally separate control. And then I don't know where this conflict of interest issue is from. Then I just want to hear, and they're never asking me directly. So I never had a chance to speak up. So I want to address these two things first before moving on under the section.
So I wonder if the conflict of interest, I mean, there were clear listing in our preparation materials of conflict of interest concerns in several areas. I'm wondering if first LA County needs to be clear so then you can counteract what we're being told. And obviously it's a concern, but we want to hear both sides of it. Do you know, you want to address it?
Yeah,
Dr. Briggs?
You respond.
Oh, okay. Okay. First of all, one of the points made, I think by the county, was about the 49% interested persons. That was in the bylaws. What that is in reference to, what that specifically meets, is the requirements of the Political Reform Act and the Corporations Code. I know this board is familiar with the Government Code Section 1090 debate, right? So we're not going to go down that road. Terrific. So we won't go down that road. So that's what the 49% means. On the LLC, there is an LLC corporation that holds, that is responsible for the bond, holds title for the facility. That structure is exceedingly common among charter schools that are using the SB 740 rental reimbursement. That's available to them through the facilities grant. This format has been approved again and again by the California School Finance Authority, so we're all within that. And I guess the last piece I'll say is there are not personal financial interests that are being played out here, that are in conflict. So with that, I guess you wanted the county to come up? Okay.
Yeah, no, we already heard the county's view on this.
And you know, I'm old, so I've got to get this big letter, because the little print wouldn't work for me, you know. But again, the district did state that once they did their forensic audit, there was no issues. They did a forensic audit, and there was no issues. And this is the letter in which they schemed over. I just blew it up so I could read it, you know. And in addition to, when the district spoke of the letter being in good standing, it was a little bit more than, yeah, they're in good standing right now. This states the Guidance Charter School Authority, authorized by the Palmdale School District, the charter school is currently in good standings with PSD, other than with respect to the teacher credentialing issue referenced in the letter. And this was dated February 15th, 2017. And this letter, the other big letter, I'm sorry, was dated the day before my birthday, so I'm going to always remember this, February 7th, 2017. So the conflict of interest, they must have come after the 16th of February 2000, or the 18th, excuse the big letters, the 16th of February 2017. But we were never notified of anything. This was all we had. This was all we had.
Okay, thank you. Do we have Board Member Valdez? Then I'd like to at least get a motion on the floor here. I know, I'm going to ask her to make a motion after that, and then if we want to have more discussion after the motion, we can have it.
So this is for the district, a question for the district. So part of this challenge is district annual oversight and how you engage in it, what process you use, how deeply you go in, and what feedback you get, and the conversations that you have in an ongoing manner. But speaking of the bond and the letters that we were just shown, but there is a debt. And so it has been denied by you, but while you were doing oversight, the bond was put into place. Is that correct? Right. And so the bond debt, if we don't approve it today, does the debt go to you? Who does the debt go to?
The district isn't a party to that obligation. We have no obligation under those circumstances.
So could I ask the bond people this question? Where does the debt go to if the district, if the charter school is not approved today? And it's my understanding that the school district would be responsible for it because they were doing oversight at the time.
The borrower is the Guidance Support Services LLC, the LLC that was created, as Ms. Ruley talked about, under this structure. And the borrower is obligated. Certainly, it happened under the watch of the district and the oversight of the district. And the district, as you've heard, was involved in that process, including communicating with bondholders and underwriters and providing the assurances and representations that have been talked about both in the letters and in separate conference calls as well. And so the district is a part of this. And I think there has been communications that if there is an issue here, I mean, this impact, the district is not separate and apart from the impact of a non-renewal at this stage. So while they may not be a party to the borrowing documents, they certainly have been involved as the authorizer.
So the district has no obligation if the school is not approved and does not exist?
No, I cannot say that they do not have an obligation. That's a legal issue I'm not prepared to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask our liaison to talk about the ACCS meeting, and then Board Member Strauss will make a motion.
So Member Holliday and I attended the ACCS meeting, and there was a considerable amount of kinds of questioning that we've had today. The ACCS did move to approve guidance by a vote of 5-3, split vote. The questions, they found it also challenging to review comparisons of different schools to guidance, and yet the information over the last couple of years in terms of the percent meeting standard in ELA and math was discouragingly low in their perception and worrisome. And so they did feel like the academics were an issue and a concern. This board has gone into probably a more in-depth discussion about some of the other concerns. I appreciate Member Burr reminding us all that the issue of credential is limited with charters to core teachers primarily, and so taking that a little bit off the table, but the and I appreciate having the attorney for the petitioner here to talk about the conflicts of interest and what that bylaw said, and how typical that is or normal that is in legal language. But I think that the ACCS also struggled with how large the school is and what would happen with the students if the school was not approved. I think they also struggled with the fact that it seemed that the school had been in operation for 17 years, and it was and just got a letter from the district a year and a half ago saying they were in good standing, and that although the district has provided data that indicates that they've sent letters of concern to the school about various credential issues, they've never risen to the level of notices of concern or a legal kind of level. And so it feels like it feels odd that it has not come to a higher level of concern, and then suddenly it is. And yet the data on the student achievement, the low student achievement, is definitely concerning. And so that's why there was a split vote at the ACCS, and why it's not, I'd say, an easy decision.
Okay, Board Member Strauss.
So let me just say, I just want to thank all the community and parents and kids who came today, and the staff and the county and the district. This one's an emotional one and a difficult one. I think we've all read the CD analysis, the written materials. Obviously, the lots of questions is because we have concerns, and I'll just say my own concerns. I'm worried. This parents brought their kids over 17 years to a school with hope that they would have a better opportunity. I know the high desert area, and I believe in the mission of trying to create a great opportunity and a choice for parents. That being said, I have a lot of concerns. Clearly, academically, charters they have some flexibility that traditional schools don't have, and yet when I look at graduation rate, cohort dropout rate, EL achievement rate, I'm concerned about the lack of academic achievement. That being said, it is a parent choice, but I still think I'm concerned about an ambitious enrollment plan which triples the enrollment when we don't have success for 750 kids right now. So that's a concern for me. I've never seen a school with 100% reserve. That being said, I personally think maybe some of that more money should have been spent on the educational needs for kids, although that's a local decision as well. I worry so much about the kids and the families and choice opportunities. This board has always supported choice opportunities and good charters, but I think with the pending lawsuits, although they're not approved, the possible discrimination, the the middle of July and we don't have a place for these kids. I just am very, very concerned. And I just have to say, I can't support the renewal. And I would move the CDE recommendation.
Your second?
To deny.
Second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further board discussion? Let's call Executive Director call the roll, starting over at this side.
Okay. Jaden Gray. Nikki Sandoval. Trish Williams. Mike Hurst.
No.
Eileen Strauss.
Aye.
Sue Burr.
No.
Feliza Ortiz Lucone. Aye. Karen Valdez. Aye. Patricia Rucker. Aye. Okay, the recommendation passes.
Okay. The board will adjourn then till 11, recess till 11:30. The CDE recommendation is that the charter petition be denied, and therefore the charter petition has been denied. The board needs 6 votes, and we had 6 votes. Okay, the board will reconvene, and we have now item 22, the petition for the establishment of a charter school, Latitude 37.8 High School, denied by Oakland Unified and the Alameda County Board. So this is a public hearing. Our procedure is that we will have a presentation by the California Department of Education and hear their recommendation. Then the board will ask technical questions if they have technical misunderstandings or uncertainties about this presentation. Then we'll have the public hearing. Each side will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. Then we'll have public comment, 1 minute each for people that want to comment before the board. And then the board will deliberate and ask further questions, I'm sure, of various people that we've heard from after that. So Lisa is here from the department to make their recommendation and their analysis.
August 23rd, 2017, the Oakland Unified School District voted to deny the petition of Latitude 37.8 by a vote of 6-1. November 20th, 2017, the Alameda County Office of Education voted to deny the petition by a vote of 7-0. The petitioners subsequently submitted a petition on appeal to the State Board of Education on March 29th. The CDE's recommendation is that the State Board hold a public hearing to approve the request to establish 37.8 High School, a 912 charter school under the oversight of the State Board with the following conditions. Evidence that Latitude has received the funding anticipated from each of the commitment letters identified in the petition, and that Latitude will provide the CDE with a revised 2018-19 budget to include these commitments. The CDE recommendation is based on finding that the school has a sound educational program, that they will be demonstratively likely to successfully implement the program provided that the petitioner secures the funding as stated in the petition. And we find that they have a reasonably comprehensive description of most of the charter elements. The Advisory Commission on Charter Schools met on July 12th, 2018, and the Advisory Commission moved staff's recommendation to approve the petition to the State Board of Education. The motion passed by 6 votes to 1 abstention. Some background on the school. Latitude is an Education for Change school. It is proposing to enroll 50 pupils in grade 9 for the 18-19 school year. It plans to grow to 320 pupils in grade 9 through 12 in 2022-23. And Latitude has secured a facility for the 50 pupils for this school year. The educational program, Latitude's mission is to facilitate self-directed, passion-driven learning that leverages the assets and resources of the city to provide pupils with personalized and authentic learning experience. Single integrated approach driven by personalization, relevance, integration, and creativity under 4 pillars of the pupil learning experience that is outlined in their petition. In terms of the ability to implement the program, during our initial financial analysis, the multi-year financial plan was not fiscally viable. They included revenues such as Measure N and Measure G that were available only to district-approved charter schools in Oakland Unified. And they also included public charter school grant program funds, which they have yet to apply for, and some other philanthropic revenues. And we did look at their financials, understanding that now, particularly the Measure N and Measure G funding that was no longer available to them, we had some concerns about how those funds would then be, how the budget would then be able to proceed without those funds and also the grants. So we did take a look, and our financial concerns were addressed, provided that the funding described is received prior to the opening of the school year, which is part of our conditional approval. So that would be the commitment from the home office that is stated in the petition, and also letters of commitment that are totaling over $1 million. So those are part of our conditional approval. In terms of deficiencies in the charter elements, if approved by the state board, the following charter elements need to be clarified by the petition. One is in terms of governance and just providing some clarification on the compensation of services in the petition that is different than what's in the bylaws. And then also in terms of admissions and expulsion procedures, as we have seen before, these have not been updated to reflect the new laws, so those would need to be updated prior to the school opening. In summary, CDE staff is recommending approval based on a sound educational program, overall fiscal viability, and clarification of charter elements in the petition that are needed. The handouts that you have received also, there is the demographic chart that was included in the ACCS item. Latitude is a new school, so that we don't have the demographics for them, but what I've included behind there is what was in the actual petition from the school, and below that describes what in their petition they have as student demographics, and they have it described there in a chart on the attachment to the demographic chart that was submitted. So if you have any questions about that, I can address those as well.
Okay, are there any technical questions for the CDE at this time? Board Member Rucker.
I just wanted to verify before the commencement of this hearing, we received an updated letter that enumerated some of the changes you specified that had to be made. Have you had an opportunity to review this information that we just received?
I have not.
Okay.
All right, with that, thank you, Lisa. And now we're ready for the public hearing to begin. Each side will have 10 minutes, and then we'll have public comment from the audience, 1 minute for each side. So I'd like to begin with the supporters of the petition, and they also are, supporters of the petition, the Latitude group.
Okay, this is Oakland. There we go.
Thank you so much. Sure.
Good morning, board members. Thank you for your service. My name is Lillian Sue, and I'm the founding principal of Latitude High School. We are a 9-12 school seeking to serve the students of Oakland. Let me introduce myself, my team, and the organization supporting our team. In 2003, I was a founding teacher at Oakland Unity High School, one of the longest established charter schools in Oakland, and also one of the highest performing schools in the district. After many years at Unity, my family relocated to San Diego County, where I became a teacher and then a principal at High Tech High. As you may know, High Tech High is the only charter organization in California that has a statewide benefit charter. Every year, over 4,000 educators from around the world visit High Tech High to learn about its innovative model of high-quality project-based learning. At my specific school site, High Tech High Chula Vista, located 8 miles from the US-Mexico border, we were known for especially strong outcomes with college acceptance and college completion. Every year, our records, based on data from the National Clearinghouse, indicated that 82% of all of our students and 77% of our economically disadvantaged students graduated from a 4-year university, compared to just 11% of students nationally. These are the kinds of outcomes that I want to see for our students in Oakland. In opening Latitude, I knew that the most important element was the founding team. Too many new schools flounder because they have big aspirations, but are staffed with newer teachers who struggle to execute on that vision. Our founding team is staffed with experienced educators who have worked for years in innovative schools and in urban settings. I have personally worked alongside our math and humanities leads for 5 and 7 years respectively, so I know the tremendous strengths that they bring. In addition, our team is backed by a CMO that has operated for 13 years in Oakland with a named focus on serving students with the greatest need. Education for Change has a reputation for outstanding finances and operations, as evidenced by its clean financial audits for the last 13 years and $4.7 million in reserves. As we launch, we're also being personally mentored by the team at High Tech High and the executive director of Big Picture Learning, which is known for consistently delivering strong college and career outcomes for economically disadvantaged students. At Latitude, we will apply our team's experience with high-quality project-based learning to engage students in learning experiences that use the Bay Area as our extended classroom. We will extend learning beyond the walls of a school building and demystify access to the full range of the Bay Area's assets and expand each student's sense of possibility for their future. There are no current district or charter schools in Oakland that provide the kind of place-based applied learning experiences that Latitude will provide. Too many high school students today, especially in Oakland, express that they do not know why they are learning what they're learning or how it matters to them as individuals. Students become disengaged with their schooling experiences, and as a result, over 1/3 of all Oakland students drop out of high school. Latitude's City as our extended classroom model gives students the opportunity to grapple with interdisciplinary problems through weekly field experiences outside of school, working with professionals in authentic settings to connect what they're learning to their future. To complement the real-world projects happening in our studios, our second core element is workshop. In workshop, students will have daily opportunities to engage in inquiry and student-centered discussions. Our strategies are anchored in research and personalized to meet every student where they are, to ensure that students with unfinished learning or special learning needs receive the supports they need. Research has shown that personalized learning without clear competencies can lead to low rigor and expectations. At Latitude, all students will receive personalized support as they work to achieve mastery of competencies aligned to college and career readiness. Every student has an advisor who will stay with them throughout all 4 years of high school. Advisors support students in developing a personalized plan for how to reach their aspirations. Latitude is a gradual release model. In the earlier phases, learning experiences in the community will be scaffolded and chaperoned by teachers. As students build independence and grow their academic and professional skills, they will have increasing opportunities to engage in independent ELOs or extended learning opportunities. Our personalized approach to supporting each student with a personalized learning plan means that we are well poised to support special populations. Education for Change has developed a strong multi-tiered system of supports in collaboration with Seneca Family Agencies that has received national recognition. And our organization has a strong systematic approach for identifying, reclassifying, and monitoring progress of both current and former ELL students. These systems are in compliance with all state and federal guidelines, including the Every Student Succeeds Act. We have heard loud and clear from families across Oakland that they need Latitude to exist. Our applicants this year came from 22 different zip codes, representing 32 different middle schools across the East Bay. In every neighborhood, families have told us that they need a high-quality, innovative option like Latitude. In a city where 1 in 3 students drops out of high school, our team is determined to bring this high-quality option to the students of Oakland. We appreciate Director Constancio and her team for their thoughtful review of our charter, and we have responded in writing to the 4 questions raised in her team's report. EFC's board has already taken action to address 2 of the 4 points, and we have clarified our stance on the remaining 2 questions. We are happy to take any additional steps necessary to address these issues through the MOU process if we are authorized. We've submitted our response to Director Constancio and also have provided copies for the board members today. Latitude has now received 4 positive recommendations for approval at district, county, and state. The OUSD Charter Review Office and the Office of the Superintendent recommended Latitude for approval on all 15 elements of the charter. Their staff highlighted our team's capacity, both in the educational program and in the area of finance and operations. Alameda County followed suit, and now the CDE staff and ACCS have concurred with back-to-back positive recommendations for approval. Our team is ready to start this school and offer Oakland students a high-quality option that they deserve. My team and I are available to answer any questions you might have. With me today as part of our team are Fabiola Harvey, our Chief Operating Officer, Kanyanta Nakonde, our Reporting Manager, Rich McNeil, our Director of Financial Strategy, Sundar Chari, our Chief of Strategy, Nick Driver, our Board Chair, and of course, Hasten Thomas, our CEO. Thank you for your time.
Okay, now we will have 10 minutes for the opponents to the petition.
Do you have a different one, or the one, yes, the one we have is okay, or do you have a different one? Okay. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay, there you go.
Good morning, President Kirst, members of the State Board. My name is John Ye. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Burke, Williams & Sorensen. I represent the Oakland Unified School District. In August of this year, the OUSD board voted 6-1 to deny the petition to form the Latitude Charter School. Among the significant concerns that the district had were the petitioner's likelihood of successfully implementing the racial and demographic break profile of the city of Oakland and the Oakland Unified School District, both in terms of African American students and also the percentage of special education students to be educated. However, we're going to, those reasons are contained in the record and in the district's PowerPoint. We're going to spend most of our time today hearing from district elected officials and staff about the significant opposition to this charter petition throughout the petition process. You have in your record letters in opposition to the petition from former County Superintendent of Schools Sheila Jordan, State Assembly Person Rob Bonta, and State Senator Nancy Skinner. Today you'll be hearing from District Director of Instruction, High School Network Paul Coe, the district's board president, Amy Eng, and a district board member, Shanti Gonzalez, and the district student board member, Hema Ketzel. So I will hand it over now to Mr. Coe.
Good morning, state board members. My name is Paul Coe, and I'm one of the executive directors for the high school network within our district. And I'm here to oppose the appeal by Education for Change Public Schools to propose Latitude High School. We don't believe that Latitude High School will encourage or enact the spirit of innovation noted in the Charter School Act. And more importantly, the proposal will not provide expanded choices for parents and pupils in our Oakland system of schools. First, the proposal of Latitude will negatively impact the enrollment of our schools and also the enrollment of other expanding charter schools while creating a redundant program within our city with similar schools. First school is Met West, which is an Oakland Unified School District program. And also Lodestar and Oakland Unified Authorized Charter. They both are influencers of Latitude's proposed program, and they're both set to expand in the coming 2 school years. Fremont High School, it's an Oakland Unified School District that has a student population with a majority of students who are Latino, African American, English learners, and recent immigrants in the neighborhood where Latitude is proposed to open. The school has been in a turnaround process, and with an $80 million modernization construction already underway, and key programmatic shifts, Fremont High School is continuing to rebuild its foundation to serve one of the most underserved communities in Oakland. The opening of Latitude has the potential to negatively impact Fremont's full turnaround. For SBAC results, there's a handout I provided for you on the back that will show that as a system, it does not show that it will outperform both either Met West or Lodestar and SBAC proficiency. And also, another concern of ours is that the EFC Public Schools has not shown a commitment to increase enrollment of students with disabilities or students who are African American, two of our most underserved student groups in Oakland. With this context, I leave you all with a question. How does the approval of Latitude's petition support school innovation and better options for schools in Oakland?
Good afternoon, President Kirst, members of the board. My name is Amy Ng. I'm the president of the Oakland Unified School District. I'm here to speak in opposition of the matter before you. You also have two letters from other board members who are not able to make it. At least two other members wrote letters, I believe, Director Sen and Director London. I'm here to talk about, in addition to the 5 reasons that are outlined in some of the letters about reasons for the appeal, reasons to deny the appeal, I wanted to provide some local context. OUSD currently has 122 district-run and district-authorized charter schools, 87 district schools, and 35 district-authorized charter schools, and around 8, I believe, county-authorized charter schools. So we are not we are one of the lead authorizers in the state. We're not a community that is adverse to charter schools. In fact, we've just passed a policy which speaks to district and charter schools and how we need to operate not in silos, but as a community of schools. As has been stated before by staff, we believe that we have similar programming both in district and charter schools. We've recently also authorized the expansion of Met West, which is an internship-based school, big picture learning school similar to the programming that you have before you. Also, in the past year, there have been several reports released because of the district's current fiscal situation, 3 FCMAT reports, and also a recent grand jury report, all of which have criticized the district for having too many schools and the board for not taking tough action. We've also come under a lot of scrutiny at the county and state level because of this. The board is in the process of wanting to be proactive about our school portfolio. We started that process this year, and we will be expanding and accelerating that process going forward. This is an example of a tough decision that we had to face locally because of the matters at hand, but we did make a tough decision, and we hope that the state stands behind our tough decision. Thank you.
Hi, members of State Board. Thanks for your service. I'm Shanti Gonzalez. I serve on the OUSD board. I'm also the chair of our Budget and Finance Committee. Over the last year and a half, we have been doing some really hard wrangling over the legacy of having as many schools as we have and the growth of charter schools. And so I just want to share with you some of the concerns that I have. None of the charter schools in Oakland serve the same severity of needs as OUSD does. So in addition to just this distinction between the 7% and the actual 20%, not 11% as was reported in your documents, of special education students that we're serving, we're also serving students with much more severe need. So it's not simply that these are students who would not be coming to OUSD. It's also that we are being left with a higher and higher concentration of need that's not sustainable. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you. I also just wanted to share with you that EFC has struggled over the last year with the enrollment, falling short of their enrollment projections in their middle school. I believe you are going to see the same thing happen with their high school if you are to move forward. And then the last thing I would just share is that we are trying to take proactive steps in OUSD to address all of the complexity of the growth of charter schools, our need to address making some changes in our portfolio. If you continue to open new schools in OUSD, that really undermines really hard work that we are trying proactively to do. So I encourage you to turn down this appeal. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gemma Quetzal Cárdenas. I'm the student director for the year of 17-18, and I'm also been appointed by the governor to be next year's student board member on the State Board of Education. So during my time, during my time on the school board in Oakland, the conversations that we've been having is what makes a good neighborhood school, not should we be opening more schools. As a student representing 36,000 students, the students that have voiced is that they want more investments to our schools that are innovative already. Charters are supposed to be innovative, but the program that Latitude has already presented has already been made Fremont has already been successful in having an architecture and media academy. And Met West has been doing the community work. They have internships, and My School Life Academy has advisories and does internships. All of these schools are in the same district that Latitude wants to come into. And so I have already said this to Latitude, that instead of trying to make more schools, bring resources to the neighboring schools around us, because we shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. We should be making our schools better across the state. So please listen to the students that have already voiced this, because in Oakland, our values is student first. And students first means giving the needs that students need and want and have voiced repeatedly. Thank you, and oppose Latitude. Thank you.
All right, we'll now hear public comment. We call the list, and you will have 1 minute each. Well, I can, okay, I'll close the public hearing.
All right, would the first group of speakers please line up? Christian Martinez, Norma Cruz, Robin Coates, Mariah Iniguez Williams, Reina Iniguez, Anthony Ponce, David Castillo, Lauren Krustinger, Dirk Tillerson, Jamoke Hilton Hodge, Rachel Willis, Ramel Antoine, Shanti Gonzalez, Amy Ng, Lorraine Richards.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Martinez. I was raised in Oakland. I dropped out twice from high school. Now I'm an educator in Oakland, California, and I have nephews that currently attend charter schools and district schools in Oakland. There's a loud charter voice growing in Oakland, which is frustrating because as a Latino man, raising nephews and family members in the flatlands of Oakland, it's just really difficult, knowing that potentially, there's about 1 out of 3 students still dropping out of high school. People who are trying to oppose a new high school who brings innovation, it's just a privilege. It's a privilege that they have. My family, friends, and community members just don't have. In neighborhoods, the dropout rate is 50%. Our neighborhood high school, and only 3% of the 11th graders are tested proficient in math. 3%, you wouldn't send your students there. But there are those in Oakland who want to send my students there, to want my nephew to go there. And I say no. I want something that is innovative for them, and they are able to have a better future. Thank you. Please approve Latitude.
Good afternoon. My name is Robin Coates. I'm the Director of College Advising at High Tech High Chula Vista in San Diego County. I'm here in support of Lillian Sue, John Bosselman, and Latitude High School. I've worked closely with Lillian and John for 6 years, and I can think of no better team to start a school with the goal of getting students to and through a four-year university. The school where Lillian, John, and I work together has a population of students where over 55% were recipients of free or reduced price lunch, 60% were first-generation college going, and over 80% were students of color. During Lillian's 5-year tenure as director, 99% of our students completed their A through G requirements, and as a result, the percentage of students accepted to at least one four-year university jumped from 62% her first year to over 80% her final year. 4 out of 5 of those students, 82%, then went on to graduate from college. More impressively, 77% of our economically disadvantaged students went on to graduate from a four-year university. Based on their track record of success, I have no doubt in my mind that Lillian and John will continue to provide outstanding outcomes for their first-generation students of color. I humbly request that you approve Latitude High School so Oakland's families have the same type of access to higher education. Thank you for your time.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, board. My name is David Castillo. I'm an educator and a public school parent in East Oakland. I have led schools in East Oakland for the past 10 years. There is no school team that is more capable of defying the dismal results for Black and brown youth in Oakland than this Latitude team. I've worked closely with Lillian Sue. I founded Oakland Unity High School with her in 2003. I've worked closely with Education for Change and can attest to their ability to operationalize this inspiring and innovative model. 2 years ago, this charter petition would have been approved locally. Today in Oakland, charters are being scapegoated and blamed for decades of poor district fiscal oversight and management challenges. This has all been well documented by the grand jury of Alameda County and the Fiscal Crisis and Management Assistance Team. What we're looking at here are 4 different authorizing bodies that have recommended this charter for approval. Both the district and the county failed to live up to those recommendations. You have an opportunity here to do something that's very important for the children of Oakland. Thank you very much for your support.
Hi, good morning, board members. My name is Anthony Ponce, and I'm a rising 9th grader who is representing the 130 applicants for Latitude. I worked on Latitude since last August when I took part of their summer pilot program. And since then, I have been to every board meeting. And I've also helped co-design this school. This school gives an opportunity for education that is not offered by many others, if not any school. And we have the professionals properly armed with this knowledge to help the students with the things they need. And I have tried to apply to other schools that have these forms, but they have very little to no cases in them. Thank you, and please vote to approve Latitude.
Hi, my name is Dirk Tillotson. I'm a board member at Education for Change. I'm also an attorney. I've worked for 25 years in education reform in Oakland, New York, New Orleans, and elsewhere. Strong team, strong design, strong finances, strong background organization. I must say also with Director Hinton Hodge, I founded the State of Black Education in Oakland, really focusing on Black kids and the challenges we face. And it's a little strange to hear the board say that the Black kids are the issue that's being brought up, where we've never heard anything except cuts to the Office of Equity recently around serving Black kids. And now, because Ed for Change has a few less Black kids, it's a reason to deny this school. Everybody has work to do in that regard. This is a school that can make a difference. These students have one chance at high school. If you have kids of your own, as I do, they have one chance. They can't wait for the district to get it right. The district has had plenty of chance to get it right. They're saying no new schools. If you read the grand jury, they approved 2 new schools without even budgeting for those schools last year.
Time.
Hello, board. My name is Mariah. I am an EFC student. I am here to open Latitude because it allows me to get out of my comfort zone and explore the city I live in. Me, along with other future students, will have many opportunities to work with professionals. In the area of Oakland where I live, the high schools aren't as high quality as I would hope. That's why I'm trying so hard to get this school open. I'm not sure what I want to do for my life, but I know that going here can help me decide a path that I might be interested in. I am the face of the students who want to go to this school. There are too many adults making decisions that impact me and my friends. My community wants this school. Please vote to approve Latitude.
Hello, board. My name is Reina Iñiguez, and I'm a proud parent of an EFC middle school student. We are a founding family, and my daughter is part of the Student Latitude Design team. I'm here to express a need for a school like this in my community. In Oakland, less than 65% of students are graduated, and only 39% African-American graduates completed requirements needed to apply to a UC or CSU. As you can see, I have an African-American daughter, and this is not acceptable for us. I ask that you approve Latitude because I see that it will provide my daughter with real-life work experiences, and I know that EFC will continue to provide her both educational and her health needs as they do today. Thank you for your consistent consideration for our students of Oakland.
Good morning. She will be reading her testimony in Spanish, and I'll be afterwards translating for her.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Norma García y tengo 2 hijos y vivo en el área de Oakland, de Fruitvale. Soy madre que lucho por la educación de alta calidad que mis hijos y todo estudiante merece. Como madres buscamos verdaderas oportunidades para el futuro de nuestros hijos y desafortunadamente en el área no los tenemos. No todas las escuelas de nuestra comunidad las ofrecen. No podemos poner en pausa la educación de nuestros hijos o a esperar algunos años mientras las escuelas a nuestro alrededor mejoran. Tengo a mis hijos en la escuela de EFC porque busco un modelo de educación y empuje a el desafío y en pensar más allá de las preparatoria, que la latitud y es paso necesario para ellos alcanzar y graduarse de la universidad. Creo que hay una comunidad detrás de Latitude equipada en maestros entusiasmados en proveer a nuestros hijos las herramientas que hacen falta en nuestra comunidad, quienes los preparen para enfrentar cada paso con seguridad y los vean como estudiantes talentosos capaces de hacer lo que se propongan y no solo ser vistos como un número monetario. Les pido aprueben a Latitude, por favor. Muchas gracias.
My name is Norma Garcia, and I'm a mother of 2 sons. I live in the Fruitville community, and I'm here representing the families who are, for quality of education, our children deserve. We seek real opportunities for our children, and unfortunately, not all the schools in our community are able to provide that. I currently have my children in the EFC community because I'm looking for a school community that would motivate, push, and challenge them to think beyond high school. I believe that Latitude is the next step for my children in reaching the possibility of getting to and graduating from college. I believe the community behind Latitude is equipped with a passionate team who can provide every children with the tools that our community lacks, and who will prepare them to take every challenge with confidence, and who see our children as talented and capable individuals and not just as a dollar sign. I urge that you consider approving Latitude and see this as an opportunity that our community needs for our children. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President and Board. My name is Lauren Kretzinger. I'm a Regional Executive Director at Seneca Family of Agencies. We provide mental health, special education, and school climate and culture services in about 100 schools, districts, and charters. We've been working with EFC for about 10 years now. We haven't seen anyone more committed than EFC in working with every student to provide all necessary services to be successful. Our perspective is that EFC is the strongest special education provider, providing diverse and inclusive services to the students and families as they need them, both in their schools and in their communities. Thank you.
Lorraine Richards, California Teachers Association. CTA strongly opposes the overturning of the decision of the local and county district that all well-reasoned and best understand the needs of the students and of the local area. The petitioner actually asked for a material change on the appeal. The state board is without jurisdiction to hear that repeal, and the petitioner wishing to continue, the petitioner must return to local and county school board. Another piece is that the petitioner does not meet the intent of the Charter School Act to expand educational offerings or encourage different and innovative teaching methods. It was also stated that it's a duplication of program. There is a disabilities piece that is not being met, and African American population is also not being met. How is this educational program providing to a diverse community? Please consider a opposed position to continuing this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board. Ramel Antoine with the California Charter Schools Association. Wanted to talk about a couple of things. The first one is about continuation of, or a continuum of learning. So we know that EFC is currently operating schools in the Oakland area, all that were conversion schools serving their neighborhood boundaries. And then clearly there's a need, sort of a natural need of progression for these students to be able to matriculate into a high school where they can achieve better outcomes than are currently being realized by students in the community. And so it's really important that this school be allowed to exist. I think also it's important to consider the small impact really of a small opening class of about 50 students that are, largely going to be coming from the community in which they're serving and going up to 320 over time. The charter law is clear that there are clear reasons for denial, and they haven't met that at any point in any staff findings, really. And so I urge you to adopt CD's recommendation and ACCS's. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamoke Hinton Hodge, and I actually have the privilege to sit on the advisory commission here. I had to recuse myself because I also sit on Oakland Unified School District as a board member, currently serving as the vice president. So it might seem a bit awkward or out of place that I'm actually here. And I lean into uncomfort sometimes. I am the dissenting vote. I am the one vote that voted for Latitude. And so I wanted to kind of show my support, to say where that dissent for me came from, and that as a democratic space, sometimes we are allowed that opportunity to express that. So it is with no disrespect for the process at all. And so for me, it's very important to note that all of the staff reports said favorable about the school. When you look at the design, it is very clear that we have nothing that replicates it. Met West is an amazing school. So why is it that Met West's CEO is actually mentoring this school so that it can move to the next level and go beyond? It doesn't impact us financially or fiscally. That report was done as well. This is a slippery slope, I think, we are on if we are not going to honor our educators who have made recommendations. Thank you.
Hello again, I'm Shanti Gonzalez. I also serve on the OUSD board. I just want to share a couple things that are really positive that are happening in OUSD. One thing somebody said is that you have an important opportunity here today, and that's true. You can help us to build on the success we're having in our graduation rates, which are up 7% over the last 6 years. You can help us build on our increasing reading and math scores, which are also up. I'm not going to tell you that we're where we want to be or where we need to be. Our students deserve the best. You have an opportunity here today to help us build on that success and not continue to introduce new shocks to the system that we are already reeling from, frankly, the growth of charter schools, and financial issues that have needed to be addressed for a long time. I'm proud of the work I'm doing on the Budget and Finance Committee, and several other people are doing on the Budget and Finance Committee. I'm proud that we're trying to come together and grapple with these decisions that have needed to be grappled with for a long time, and I really urge you to give us the space to do that work. It is hard work. It's politically very hard. Takes time. Thank you.
Yeah, before you call the next list, I wanted to announce to the board members that the lunches are ready in the anteway, and board members will exit, not all at once, periodically to pick up their lunches. Go ahead.
With the next group of speakers, please line up. Keith Braun, Vita Mendoza, Renee Swain, Juan Matiar, Bethany Meyer, Ann Swanburn, Emily Falloy, David Weintraub, Joe Bates, Ona Keller, Shelley Weintraub, Kampala Thais Rossifer, John Sheehan, Fraser Bradshaw, Liz Ortega, Asai Talib.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Brown. I'm a 19-year teacher in OUSD, and I'm also the president of the Oakland Education Association. One of the many reasons you should reject this petition is because Education for Change has historically failed to serve a student body that achieves a racial and ethnic balance reflective of Oakland, and will continue to do so at Latitude. Specifically, EFC doesn't enroll African Americans at rates anywhere comparable to OUSD or nearby district schools. In 1718, Black students only made up 9% of the student body in Education for Change's 6 schools, in contrast to 24% of the district-wide schools and 21% at nearby Fremont High School. Don't believe EFC's attempt to explain their low enrollment of Black students away by saying that their schools have neighborhood attendance boundaries. Any OUSD schools in the same neighborhood have higher enrollment of Black students, and EFC's 2 startup schools also serve Black students well below the district and nearby schools. Thank you. Please reject this petition.
Good afternoon. My name is Bethany Meyer. I'm a special education teacher and parent in Oakland. I had a chance to read the petition claim and EFC's response, and I'm going to be frank with you, I found it really offensive as a parent and a special education teacher. Most of the information that's included here is not relevant to the petition claim. They should be proud of their robust MTSS model, but that is not special education. And there's no information included here on the percentage of moderate severe students they serve, which makes me think it must not be very many or it's none at all. So as you've been told, we're currently serving about 20% special education students, and they're serving 7-8% of students with lower needs. So until they start serving students who are deaf, blind, have feeding tubes, need orientation and mobility or nursing services, I cannot take this very seriously. We're proud of the services that we provide. Thank you. Please reject this.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Falloy. I'm an Oakland resident, a retired ELD teacher in Oakland, and a parent of 2 OUSD graduates. I want to speak about this process. And I'm asking you to deny the Latitude petition. I'd like to speak about the process. Our coalition of community, teachers, students, and labor emailed all of you on the board asking to meet to discuss these very complex issues through a phone conversation, video, or in person if that could be arranged. Nearly all of you refused to meet with us. You are a public body, and the public deserves more access to you than having to drive to Sacramento and speak in 1-minute increments during public comment. We know that you make yourselves available to the charter industry, and yet you have refused to meet with us. Our schools belong.
Thank you. My name is David Weintraub, and I am with a parent with the Oakland Unified School District, former student, and civil rights activist for the last 40 years or so. We're concerned about the proliferation of charters in Oakland and the undermining of our public education system. We are asking that you uphold the decisions of the Alameda County Board of Education and Oakland Unified School District. I was asked by Senator Nancy Skinner, who is our representative, to provide you each with a copy of the letter she sent on June 28th, which has now been provided to you. In sum, she says that there are 3 of many important reasons to oppose the application of Latitude. The local boards are more knowledgeable. Please respect local control. And there is a new report by In the Public Interest, which says that Oakland is spending over $57 million per year. And furthermore, on charters and because of charters, and furthermore, the district is struggling and needs to stay solvent. So every additional charter is a problem in that direction, causing a vicious cycle. Thank you. Please oppose the application.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Jo Bates. I am a parent of OUSD graduates, and I am also a product of the Oakland Unified School District. I stand in opposition of the petition that's before you. Based on its financial and enrollment track record, especially with startup schools, it is clear that EFC is demonstratively unlikely to successfully implement the program as set forth in the petition. During the 2017-18 school year, none of EFC's school met their projected enrollment. EPIC, its newest school, was 82 students below its projected enrollment. At EFC startups, Achieve Academy and EPIC, enrollment for 2018-19 is a combined 46 students below budgeted projections. These continual declines in enrollment have a negative impact on EFC's finances, creating an operating loss over 3 times greater than planned. The number clearly shows that EFC is struggling with a lack of community. I thank you very much for your time, and again, I stand in opposition of this petition. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Liz Ortega, and I'm here representing the Alameda Labor Council that represents 135,000 members and workers in Alameda County. I'm also a very proud graduate of Fremont High School and a product of the Oakland Public Unified School District. Today, I'm here to join a broad coalition of Oakland Unified School District students, parents, school board members, unions, and community-based organizations that have opposed this petition from day one. Today, I have 2,500 signatures opposing this charter school. Working families in Oakland need strong and stable schools, and the educators, the students, and the families at Oakland Unified School District are doing the hard work, and to make sure that every single student gets the school they deserve and they need. The Oakland Unified School Board and the Alameda County Board made the right decision to reject this petition. And they know best what is best for Oakland kids. I urge you to reject this petition and listen to the 2,500 members of the community who signed these petitions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Shelley Weintraub. I was a teacher and an administrator in OUSD for almost 35 years. I urge you to reject this petition. And I'm here because Assemblymember Bonta asked us to give you saw it in your packet, several of these issues have come up, but as an assembly member for the district that represents Latitude, he is opposed to it for the reasons that were stated, because they are demonstratively unable to keep their promise about enrollment, given EPIC is a feeder school to Latitude, because they don't represent the diversity of Oakland's student body, particularly African American and special ed. And he asks you to pay attention to the local board and to the local Alameda County Board, and to have respect for the elected bodies in our district. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kampala Taze Rancifer. I have 2 children attending school in Oakland. My son, educated in OUSD schools K through 12, is a proud graduate who just finished his first year of college. I live and teach in East Oakland. The argument that Latitude is making is deceptive. In order to prove that it can provide an educationally sound program, EFC has referenced the track record of High Tech High Chula Vista, where many Latitude's founding staff have previously worked. What EFC fails to mention is that High Tech High educates a significantly different population than OUSD and existing EFC schools. For example, EFC schools serve almost twice as many students eligible for free and reduced priced meals as High Tech High. Only 6.9% of High Tech High students are English language learners. Did you say time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I would urge you to reject this petition.
Good afternoon. My name is Fraser Bradshaw. I'm a parent of a Oakland public school student. What I hear today is political maneuvering from the opposition to Latitude. This body, this board, exists for the betterment of California's youth, and I encourage you all to put politics and maneuvering aside and do what is best for the students of California. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ann Swinburne. I'm an OUSD parent and I work with CTA. I wanted to talk about this question of material revision. Your staff has repeatedly said that the material revision for the change of the school year was included in the cover letter with the petition. This is the cover letter of the petition. It doesn't mention the material revision in it at all. What it does mention is the description of any changes to the petition necessary to reflect the SBE as the chartering entity, which is a requirement under the Charter Schools Act that an amendment is added to the petition that reflects the SBE as the chartering entity. That letter is here. That letter is where the material revision is made. The charter term is changed from a 2018 open to a 2019 open. This is an amendment to the petition, a change to the petition, and the CDE staff was out of line in accepting the petition from Education for Change. They should have sent them back and had them resubmit a petition that did not contain a material revision. Thank you.
Ona Keller, California Teachers Association. I just wanted to continue on talking about the material changes. In tab 12 of the petition that the petitioner submitted, it was on page 2,426. They actually add 81 extra pages about financial updates and projections based on changes to the start date. They clearly say that they want to start in 2019, 2020. They say it in a number of places, including in the actual budget documents, in which they say the planning year is 17-18, the prototype year is 18-19, and that year one is 19-20. In that prototype year, the enrollment is listed as 0. That is a complete material change. I don't have to tell you that. You're already in litigation about it from a different school district. So there's further evidence of these material changes in the letter that comes before all these new budget documents, which include that they had to revise down their unduplicated count because they're not having as many students qualify for LCFF funding. We anticipate that with an additional year to build relationships across the city, we'll be even better positioned to help students in Oakland, and that in their facilities, they specifically say that Epic Middle School is to house the program for the first year in 2019-2020. That is a material revision. Thank you.
Good afternoon. John Shaban, SEIU Local 10-1, urge you to reject this petition. It's already been decided at a lower level, and I stand in support of small d democracy. Those boards were elected to make those decisions. You don't have the enforcement authority to oversee such a charter school. Oakland already said they couldn't. So thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Asa, and I am a 12th grader at Fremont High School. I am here today to ask you not to approve Latitude Charter School. I like Fremont High School because it has taught me to be a critical thinker. The teachers are amazing, and it has taught me a lot. The thing I'm most proud of that I've done in Fremont High School is I have had the opportunity to explore construction careers. Fremont has taught me to be a student leader / organizer. If Fremont's budget gets cut again, we might lose our pathways. Latitude Charter School are going to have very similar academies as us, such as Media and Architecture Academy. Fremont High School right now is expanding, and in a few years, it would be able to hold 1,200 students. Fremont has the Nest Academy, which helps English language learners. If you approve Latitude Charter School, we can be at risk of losing that academy, and our ELL students will not have help. I went to an EFC elementary school called Achieve Academy, and when I went to middle school, I had to get extra help because I was behind. EFC did not prepare me for middle school and beyond. For the 3 years I've been at Fremont High School, my mind has been blown by the knowledge I've learned that EFC couldn't provide. We have 140 postcards to give you from the community that are against Latitude Charter School. Please don't approve another charter school in Oakland.
Hi, my name is Juan Matias, and I'm in 11th grade at Fremont High School. I'm here to ask you to deny Latitude Charter School. I love my high school because it helped me to learn the language that I'm speaking right now. When I came in the United States, I spoke Mom and Spanish. Mom is an indigenous language in Guatemala. And my school have a program that calls Nest, where the teachers help the students are like me, who are new to this country, guide the students to learn English. If my school budget gets cut again, we will lose the resources that supports the students and teachers. Please don't approve another charter school.
Hello, my name is Vida Mendoza, and I am an upcoming 7th grader at Life Academy in Oakland Unified School District. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the charter schools affecting my community. There is no room for more schools in Oakland. There are enough schools in Oakland. So instead of making a new school, why not try teaming up to make the schools we already have better? When families come to support the charter schools that want to be made, there are mostly families from other charter schools, but not many families from other public schools. I don't want to see my community getting badly affected by this charter school, so I ask you to vote no to Latitude. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Willis. I'm a parent of 2 students in Oakland. I'm a graduate of Fremont High, and I am a native of Oakland as well. I graduated high school in 2003, and around that time, OUSD went through the loss of admit, counselors, and ultimately went into state receivership. I'm a product of that. I got lost in the system. No one tracked me for college, and I was never given the opportunity to explore different types of careers. In fact, I didn't receive the support that I needed to be successful. I refuse to allow my children to go through those same experiences. Now, I've heard that there are too many charter schools in Oakland, but there aren't many high-quality high schools, and that's a problem. There are innovative models, but the waiting lists are extensive. It's only 39% of African-American students that are A through G, meeting the A through G requirements. That is unacceptable for the standards that I have for my children. In Oakland, students are seen as dollar signs, and most of the board members are actually making decisions based on political gain. That is very problematic to us. Latitude opening will give my neighborhood and my opportunity a chance for students to grow, and I ask that you approve Latitude to give the students of Oakland an opportunity to explore, be different, and be great. Thank you very much, and enjoy.
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Swain. I'm a retired educator from Oakland Unified School District for over 30 years. And essentially, you've heard probably more than you need to hear, but I just feel that the charter school would have a negative impact on existing schools. We certainly don't need that. There have been 2 previous denials, and I'm a member of a group called Educators for Democratic Schools. And we actually asked EFC to consider withdrawing because obviously the community doesn't want what they're trying to bring us, and we would rather they work within the district instead of at odds with it. And so for a variety of reasons, the middle school, Epic Middle School, is not performing well, is declining in enrollment, and we don't need another unsuccessful school in Oakland. Thank you.
With the last group of speakers, please line up. Ish Armendariz, Natalie Tapian, Maria Valdez, Nydia Baez, Maria Calmo, Mikhail Calderon, Peter Turong, Linda Halpern, Nick Driver, Truve Men, and Eric Premack.
Hello, my name is Ishmael Armendariz. I'm a special education teacher and disability rights activist. Maria Ceja is a mother of one of my students, and her in OUSD. Her brother attended Epic Charter School in OUSD. Why did Maria have to send kids to 2 different schools? Because Epic does not serve all kids. And we know this by my student's story and by the data. OUSD, the case mix data that's submitted to the state. OUSD right now is serving 20% students with IEPs, and has 900 pending assessments. Epic Charter School serves 7.7%. When you look closer at the data, Epic only serves 0.3% students with ID, the most significant need. OUSD has 1.1%. Epic only serves students with emotional disturbance at 0.3%. OUSD is at 0.6%. And when you look at autism, students with autism, OUSD serves 1.13%, while Epic only serves 0.4%. If you cannot serve all kids, you cannot open a school in Oakland. So I urge you to stand with OUSD, stand with the community, stand with disability rights activists, and deny this school.
Hi, my name is Natalia, and I'm in the 11th grade in Castlemont High School. I am here today to ask you to not approve Latitude Charter School. I like Castlemont High School because they value me as an IEP student. My care managers check in with me frequently and help me whenever I need them. In my past charter school experience, they never really checked in with me and never had the yearly meeting I'm supposed to have. The thing I'm most proud of that I've done at Castlemont is a pathway that's providing me knowledge that I will be able to value in my future career. I would like for you to prioritize funding a new school that would bad impact my enrollment and take fundings from my school. If Castlemont budgets get cut again, we might lose pathways, classes, and resources. Please vote no to the charter school. If any of you vote in favor of Latitude, then you are saying no to a special education student like me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Valdez. I am an 11th grader in Castlemont High School. I am here to ask you not to approve for this new charter school. I believe that Castlemont is a good school because in my pathway, we are helping our community by producing locally grown food and finding sustainable energy. We have lots of different opportunities that involve our future and our future careers choices. The thing that I am most proud of is that all of Castlemont, we were able to organize in order to lower ensure Castlemont and a few other schools don't get severe budget cuts. If Castlemont budgets get cuts once again, we might lose funding for certain classes and after-school programs that benefit students at Castlemont. The current staff members we have are taking additional jobs because Castlemont doesn't have proper staffing. Please don't approve another charter school in Oakland, rather investing in our community schools that have served many generations before us. Please oppose to this petition. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Trong. I am the leadership teacher at Fremont High School and a partner with Oakland Kids First. I've actually had the opportunity to teach both in charter schools and public schools. So this is not really about a debate of politics. It's about what the right choice is for the Oakland community. This school will divert funding from our district and already established schools. There is no need to replicate schools and programs that are already present in Oakland. It's already been mentioned, Fremont is in the process of rebuilding its school right now. It will expand to serve an additional 400 students in the neighborhood that this school is proposing to open in. It is fiscally and morally irresponsible to open another charter school when another school in the neighborhood is ready to receive more children. It is also a demonstrable falsehood to state that project-based learning is not present in our district. There are other schools that champion this. There have been mentions of Met West. I can talk about multiple high schools such as Fremont High School. There are senior projects. There are after-school programs such as the Real Hard program with Oakland Kids First. So this is neither new nor is it innovative. At a local and county level, we made this decision. So we ask you to respect that decision, which is best for us.
Good afternoon. My name is Nydia Baez. I was born in Mexico and have been raised in East Oakland. I am the current assistant principal at Fremont High School, and I'm also a proud Fremont graduate. And you should reject this petition because EFC won't succeed in serving the highest need students in Oakland like we do. At Fremont High School, we do serve some of these high need students, including 85% free or reduced lunch, 92% unduplicated, 16% homeless youth, and over 32% special education students. EFC presented misleading data to you in an attempt to undermine our community organizing and our community's petition. EFC doesn't give the source of their data, and we couldn't substantiate it using Ed Data or DataQuest. What year is it for? Is it public? Is it internal? We couldn't tell. So we used public CDE data from Ed Data and looked at the 2016-17 data for EFC schools, their CMO, OUSD, and Fremont. So there is no question that EFC is not serving the same level of high need students, so please reject this petition. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tu May, and I am an educator of East Oakland Unified School District, and I'm also a parent. Today in front of you, you have a quote of one of the board member of EFC, and I'm going to read what I have. It has a star right next to it. It says, 20 years of creating new schools in Oakland has created a district on the brink and an unsustainable number of charter schools. There are few stars, lots of mediocrity, and far too many schools that are not delivering for students. And the families that need the best schools have almost no chance of accessing them. This is what reform has wrought. These are not my words, as I said earlier. These are words of the board member of EFC written just last month. Despite declining enrollment and financial trouble, EFC wants to open another school, even though one of its own board member thinks there are too many schools in Oakland. This board has no longer this board can no longer pretend that its action does not have consequences. Please deny Latitude School. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Halpern, a retired teacher from Castlemont High School, and now I am currently a mentor or coach with the BITSA program, training new teachers as they come into Oakland. That includes charters, private, and public. It is my 10 years I've been doing this. The teachers in the public schools are by far the most talented, skilled, and committed. They are trained on in various ways through various programs, one of which is BITSA. They have workshops they have to go to. Teacher training is key, and Oakland Unified District does a superb job at this. I suggest that you reject the charter school. Thank you.
Eric Premack, Charter Schools Development Center. This is a group that we have worked with for a long, long time, since before EFC even started. The larger management organization has a very positive, strong track record. The particular team on developing this school has a long, strong track record. Petition is clearly compliant, as demonstrated by the staff review at the district, county, and state level. We think this one is an absolute slam dunk. I've been listening carefully here since the beginning. I have yet to hear one single valid reason for denial. I do understand, because I lived in Oakland and I've watched it for many years, the district has a decades-long history of unfortunate management decisions that have placed it in a very tough position. That's not the fault of the charter school. It's not the fault of Latitude. We would urge you to approve this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Kirst, board members. My name is Nick Driver. I'm proud to serve as board chair for Education for Change Public Schools. I've been on the board for the last 6 years, the last 3 of which as board chair. I've been working in charter schools for the last 14, and I want to just note a couple of things about our board. We have an 11-member board that is a majority-minority board. We worked really hard to have a diverse board that has 3 hardworking committees, 2 elected family board members who are elected by their peers. We also have governance and finance experts on our board. You heard from my colleague Dirk Tillotson earlier, who actually does governance training throughout the state and other states. And so we feel that we take our jobs as overseers and overseers of the staff very seriously. And we're always working harder to be better. If you have any questions about our governance, I know there was one question that came up. I would be happy to answer any questions, along with our CEO and our founding principal, Lillian Hsu. Thank you very much, and I urge you to support the recommendation of staff and vote for Latitude High School. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the public comment period, and so I'd like Lisa to come back up from the California Department of Education and talk about the grounds for which the board has the authority to either approve or deny charters. We're an administrative body operating under a law of the legislature, so we've heard various reasons, and maybe you can comment on how those fit with the law.
Yes. Okay. So in terms of the education code, and this is, go back to 47605, states the governing board of the school district shall not deny a petition for establishment of a charter school unless it makes written factual findings specific to the particular petition, setting forth specific facts to support one or more of the following findings. So the first is that the charter school presents an unsound educational program for the pupils to be enrolled in the charter school. Number 2 is the petitioners are demonstratively unlikely to successfully implement the program set forth in the petition. Third, the petition does not contain the number of signatures required by subdivision A. The petition does not contain an affirmation of each of the conditions described in the subdivision. And the petition does not contain reasonably comprehensive description of all of the following, which are the charter elements. So basically, the board would have to make a finding of one of those 5 to not move forward with the charter petition, to not approve the charter petition.
Thank you. Board member, our liaison, Board member Williams has another question for you on the legal issues here.
I have a question about the whether or not there was a material change, and that's not how I was involved in that conversation. So I think I know the answer, but I'd like you to put it on the record.
Okay. So actually, this happened before the ACCS meeting, where there was a letter that was submitted by the petitioner as part of the package. And the letter goes in to state that they will make the changes necessary to make the board the authorizer and so forth. One of the statements in the letter stated that they wanted to open next year in 1920. We were very clear with the petitioner before the ACCS meeting, because this came up then as well, that we were moving forward with a petition as is, opening in 1819. So the petition states that they will open in 1819. That's the same petition that was before the school district. I'm sorry, did I misspeak? 1819. So this fall. So the petition states they are going to open this fall. The enrollment criteria, even the chart you have that I passed around to everyone that came straight from the petition, shows the 50 students in opening up this fall. So we were very clear that we were not moving forward with a material revision to open next year, that we were moving forward with the petition as it was opening this fall with the 50 students.
And the petitioner said yes, they could do that and wanted to do that and could
Yes,
pull
they
it
did.
off.
They confirmed that that was indeed what we were moving forward with.
Okay, with that, then let's open up further board discussion. Board member Ortiz-Lacone.
Thank you. And I'll start with some statements, because these are always difficult hearings. And welcome, Hema. You will be part of these difficult conversations and decisions very soon. Part of what we heard a lot was the impact that this would have to the host district. And we heard that from students. We heard it from some of the elected officials here, and obviously from some of the supporters. And unfortunately, that as the reasons for denial were read, that is not one of the reasons, right? And we have to work within the legal parameters that we have. But some of you submitted letters from legislators, and maybe they could help you change that law. We have to adhere by what's currently in place in that code. So because we can't consider that, we have to consider the recommendation. 2 bodies did deny this proposal, but both of the bodies denied it with a recommendation for approval by each of your department folks. Is that correct? So the Oakland Unified, the recommendation was to approve the charter. And Alameda, the recommendation was to approve, but the elected officials or the board decided to deny. So that's speaking to the education. I know that there were some questions or some comments about the soundness of the application, the proposal, but they were both bodies or both departments opted to recommend approval. So the concern that I have, though, is based on some of the comments that were made about under-enrollment in some of the other schools that are part of the CMO, the Charter Management Organization, and this notion that African-American students and students with disabilities are under-enrolled compared to the neighborhood schools. I went back to the presentation, and I didn't see anything on the academic performance of your other 7 schools, which I believe are all located in the East Bay or mainly Oakland. So I know this is a new school, but you do have 7 other schools. And I want to know, what is the enrollment of those schools? What is the academic performance specifically for African-American students and students with disabilities? So if you could come back up. I'm going to invite Ethan Thomas. Okay. Thank you.
And Feliza, could we also hear for Latino students, the percentages? And
yes, of course, mi gente. Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Hasten Thomas. I'm the CEO of Education for Change Public Schools, and I've been a 25-year educator in Oakland Public Schools. I don't know that I have all the particulars of the disaggregated data for each school. I will say this. We have, our student population is 92% unduplicated count, 87% free and reduced lunch, 54% ELL. It is going to be a fairly different school. One of some of the soul searching we did, our schools are neighborhood schools. They have attendance boundaries. They're in the Fruitvale, which is a pretty Hispanic community. Frankly, Oakland is a pretty segregated city, and the schools are pretty segregated. Oakland does serve more African-American students, and Oakland Unified as a whole does not necessarily look like EFC. I'm not gonna play funny data games. That said, it is the reason why we made a decision to make Latitude a diversified design school. It is a school that has the only school in the city that will have a zip code-based lottery where the number of spaces preference in a given zip code is proportional to the number of students residing in that zip code. The purpose of that is actually to create a high school that benefits from the beautiful diversity of Oakland, which many high schools don't. Some high schools do, but some don't. And I think that the reality of the diversity became a priority for us. And so just to be clear, the performance of our current schools, the demographics will be pretty different from Latitude, which is trying to mimic more what does Oakland look like. That said, one of the things I'm most proud of right now is that we have doubled down on instructional improvement. We do not look at our results and say, this is satisfactory, this is okay for our high poverty youth. And so this past year, we took a huge focus around TK1 literacy. We invested, which is actually some of our financial woes was not financial woes. Our board made a conscious decision to invest. We started the school year with over $7 million in reserves and a $40 million budget. We decided to spend some money because our performance says if we can double down on this transition to Common Core and really build capacity for our teachers to really figure out what the rigor looks like, this will actually pay out in dividends over the years. So TKK1-2 literacy, 3, 4, 5 problem solving, and a 6, 7, 8 focus on math. I'm really proud to say that our distance from MET in math as an org went from -80 to -56. And in ELA, this is preliminary data that's trickling in now, -70 to -48. We just passed a 3-year instructional strategic plan that actually doubles down on what we call wins, instructional wins, and make sure that actually all of these gains persist until our target in 3 years of actually exceeding the state average. We are not where we want to be, but I think we made huge gains for EL kids, we made huge gains for African American students, and we made huge gains for special education students this year. Do those students perform where we want them to? No. Are we showing what the state would say are dramatic gains of 20 to 25 points? Yes.
Well, she answered the question about the new model based on zip code. And it is true, Oakland is a highly segregated city, and there's quite a difference between the hills and what happens in the flatlands. And I think that is one of the concerns that we also heard. But there was also claims about under-enrollment. And again, you have 6 schools currently in place. This would be your 7th. What does your strategic plan call for? How many schools?
Our current strategic plan actually only calls for the next 3 to 4 years. The 7 would be the 6 schools plus Latitude should you approve it today. We do not have any, and we don't have any plans for growth at this juncture, just to double down on instructional improvement.
Okay. So I guess the question would be fair. Why not focus on, are all of your schools under-enrolled or just Epic?
Just Epic right now.
Okay. Do you know what may be causing some of those challenges?
At Epic specifically? I'll tell you this, we've been in existence for 13 years. So this year was the first year that we saw our projections be so off. Fortunately, because we have a fairly conservative budgeting process and a significant reserve, we were able to weather that without risking programs or mid-year cuts or cutting programs for kids. That said, we do have a fairly conservative board, and I took a couple lashings for this year. And moving forward, we have a balanced budget for 18-19. Every single school that was under projected, actually, so we projected 100 kids fewer for next year. And all of our schools were expected to make those cuts, including Epic. And Epic had, needless to say, we projected them for a little over 300 kids, and this is a school we had originally designed for 400 plus. I'm not going to lie and say it hasn't had struggles. I will say that that school also individually made something in the ballpark of 20 to 25 point gains in their difference from Met, and that what we're seeing is really dramatic improvement and acceleration at that school. It is a school that, it's in its fourth year. And we have seen, and it's a middle school, and it's a new middle school, and we saw some struggles. But one of the things that's nice about being a CMO, frankly, and part of the reason why I don't do a singleton charter and I no longer work for the school district, frankly, is that the ability to have a stable group of schools that are making good improvements, that have stable leadership, and then to be able to invest and double down in a single school that might be struggling is sort of the gift or the privilege of having a larger organization with a bigger budget, with a bigger reserve. So that's what we did at Epic, and I think it paid out. We're going to continue to, this year, though, without additional investment, they were requested to balance their budget, and they did. And I think they did it thoughtfully and in a way that we believe they will continue to maintain the gains that they have.
Okay, other board member comments? Eileen Strauss.
So I do have a question, a couple clarifying questions, and then some comments. So if approved today, you will open in the 18-19 year of 50 students. Is that
Correct,
right?
yes.
And I heard you say you'll have a zip code guarantee to reflect the appropriate demographics.
We have a zip code-based lottery, which means the number of spaces in any given zip code, preferences are given until those spaces are filled, and then so it's a little hard to explain. I've never done one before, but it's designed so that if we get too many applicants in a given zip code, the kids in the other zip codes get preference.
So school opens in a month, more or less, 3 weeks, 5 weeks. So if we approve today and you commit to what you proposed, which was opening,
yes.
Would you do you have the names of the students who have already agreed and committed to come if you open? You have a space?
Yes.
What's the plan? That's my first question.
Well, I mean, so we have done a massive outreach to all of our applicants. We've been communicating with them regularly so they know what's going on. Needless to say, we said, hey, have a backup because we do not want you to be without an option in August. So every student that we outreach to and who applied to the school has a school. Some of them we've called in the last couple of weeks since ACCS. We didn't want to call anybody until ACCS just so we could, be thoughtful and responsible. But some of the kids said, hey, I'm going to Fremont. I'm going to Met West. I'm excited about my option. And some of the kids said, great, I'm waiting with bated breath for your school. So do we have approximately 50 kids?
So we're running the lottery tomorrow, and we will.
If approved. If approved.
You have staffing? Do you have teachers to open?
We are fully staffed.
Oh, sure. Yes, so we are fully staffed. So Education for Change has invested in this school so that if we are not authorized, all of these teachers would still have a position within Education for Change. We wanted to make sure we were not jeopardizing any teacher's livelihood, but all of the teachers have been identified and are ready to go.
Okay, well, so I think my comments are just more general now, not targeted particularly toward you. First, it's clear that Education for Change is committed to providing quality programs for students. But I heard from Oakland board and for community, students first is what they want. I actually think students first is what everybody wants. I actually really heard that. The dilemma I heard is that we know that Oakland Unified is in financial challenges. They've had to make huge budget cuts mid-year. And that the question that we were faced by some of the audience was, should we be opening more schools, which actually is not a question this board can determine. That's not our determination. And what's best for Oakland Unified and what would help their budget, that's also not, unfortunately, a rationale for not opening. The other thing I heard was that we need to support school innovation and better options for Oakland students, and that actually is what we're about, and it is what the charter school is about. So I think we're stuck between wanting great things for kids, and I think everybody wants that came before us, everybody. And yet I think that we have a really clear guidance based on the law about what we can approve and not approve. And I think the dilemma is the financial challenges in Oakland over a long period of time. This is not a new problem, and also the long-term number of charters versus the declining in the local district. And that sounds to me like Dr. Johnson and the board have a lot of work ahead to do. But that is not, that doesn't influence if you can approve a good charter school. And I think that's just my comment to the public, is that I think everyone I heard in front of us said they wanted students first. So I think that's what we want, and I think we want better options. I also think parents want better options as well sometimes. So I just hear the local dilemma, and I think that that's what we heard here in this room. And I certainly hope that should things go forward, that the ECS will commit to representing the fair population of what Oakland Unified has for their programs. Thanks.
Okay, Chief Deputy Superintendent Glenn Price wants to speak.
Well, thank you, President Gerson. I just wanted to build a little bit on the comments made by Board Member Ortiz-Licon and Board Member Strauss. And in so doing, I want to be clear that Superintendent Torlakson stands behind the staff analysis and recommendations that we bring forward today based on the really excellent work of Division Director Lisa Constancio and her team. And just been so impressed with your work over the past few days, Lisa, and really want to hope that you express that appreciation to your team. So these comments that I'm going to just review really address to several policy areas that the superintendent is seeing emerging from this work. And we've been just so engaged and involved and appreciative of the principle of subsidiarity that's guided our work over the last 7.5 years or so. And in using that principle, we've really working together, revolutionized basically the totality of our education system. So just to say that when there are things and policy areas that are coming before us as challenges, these are things that can be changed. And we've shown that by changing standards. And Dr. Kirst, I so appreciate your article around Common Core changing everything. And really have changed everything. A new funding system, local control funding formula, obviously grounded in a fundamental ethos of local control, a whole new concept of accountability, moving away from a sole reliance on test scores to a multiple measure system, and a decentralized system of support in which local county offices and LEAs play a critical role. So in short, revolutionary changes where we've really been emphasizing local control and capacity building. But we're still, I would say, handicapped or governed by two key pieces of legislation from the 1990s that are guiding important work being undertaken by the State Board of Education and the Superintendent of Public Instruction, and that would be AB 1200, that's modified a little bit by AB 2756, and the Charter Schools Act of 1992. And thank you, Lisa, for reading that to us. So I think that obviously persuasive arguments could be made that those legislation, those statutes have accomplished a lot since they have been enacted, but I think even more persuasive arguments could be made that they've outlived their usefulness in key areas. And there's a need to be modernizing them, and that's nowhere more acute, as I think both Board Member Ortiz-Licon and Board Member Strauss articulated, where they intersect, which is where the case that we have today, where we have a district that's under state receivership being governed by the statute of AB 1200, and where we're considering a charter application. So under AB 1200, the Superintendent of Public Instruction is charged with supporting districts to return to financial health. That's a major charge that the superintendent has. Yet under our current charter laws, as Director Constancio articulated, the SPI has no authority to do charter authorization, in spite of the clear financial impact that charters may cause within the local context. So a lot of responsibility has been given to the superintendent without all of the necessary authority. At the same time, I think everyone would concede that the education and charter landscape has changed dramatically since 1992. While the charter authorization process in particular has only been tweaked slightly, and we've seen some unforeseen outcomes that have arisen as a result of that. I think that right now, this board is the second largest authorizer of charters in the state of California. Which I don't think was something that anybody would have thought about back in 1992. And then just taking that to the Department of Education, our own resources being responsible for supporting, just letting you know this, for supporting the charter schools that are authorized by the State Board of Education are stretched incredibly thin. And obviously flies in the face of our commitment and in contrast with our commitment to local control when we're trying to support charters that are stretched across the whole state of California. So in the case of the charter now being considered for Oakland, the local democratically elected school board has denied the charter. The democratically elected Alameda County Board of Education, and I think I saw Trustee Varick in the room in the back. They've never been accused of being anti-charter, but it also denied it. Both these entities, as they've articulated and communicated, have approved charters previously, but they know that at some point we have to consider the whole ecosystem, the whole community that we're operating in when making these decisions. And there's no other area of local or community planning where we would not consider the financial impact of a decision when making those decisions. LAFCO would never do that. Any city planning commission would never do that. And of course, the equity imperative, when you think about the need to provide significant support to Oakland Unified to surmount some of the incredible challenges that it's facing are clear. So I just make these comments to argue that it's time for us to take a fresh look at new policy directions for the state in this area. Discuss this with the Superintendent of Public Instruction, and he's going to be looking at making recommendations so that we can start to think about what are the new policy directions that we can take. As we approach this transition period that we're coming into, we can at least build on the body of our experience over the last 7.5 years to make some recommendations moving forward so that we can move to a place where this key area of our work, charter authorization, is aligned with the really great changes that we've made in other areas. So we'll be working on that. Hope to invite members of the State Board of Education and others to participate, and we look forward to coming back and maybe having a discussion around those. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Williams is next.
That said, there are 4 legal reasons that we can deny a petition authorization, and fiscal impact on the district is not one of them, which I'm assuming that's one of the things that you and the superintendent would like to see addressed at some point. But it's not addressed now. So we have before us a petition for authorization. It meets, it does not meet any of the reasons for denial. In addition, I don't have to remind the board, but I'll remind the audience that the board is charged with doing a de novo review of the petition, meaning with fresh eyes. It's not an appellate review. We're not overturning, if we decide to authorize it, overturning a previous decision. We're making our own decision based upon all of our own analysis, including information from the district and the county, including information from CDE staff and state board staff, including the advisory commission on charter schools. It's been my experience we leave very few stones unturned when a charter gets up to the state board level. We know it's very serious for all parties. So we don't have a reason for denial based on the legal reasons. We do have an obligation to do a de novo review. It is true that the staffs of the district and the staffs of the county recommended approval of this petition. Our own Department of Ed staff has recommended approval of this petition. I've heard from our staff that it is one of the best put together instructional models and organized with the leadership and the governance and all the other pieces that they've ever seen. I am familiar with the high-tech high model of zip code preferences. It's done down in San Diego as a way to encourage social integration of many different kinds of kids, not from all over the area. I'm familiar with some of the instructional models because I live in San Diego, so I'm familiar with high-tech high. This school is not high-tech high, and it's got a lot of new and different kinds of things that it's adding to it. The ACCS voted to authorize the school, to recommend to us to approve the school by a vote of 6 yes for authorization and 1 abstention. So if you're ready for a motion, I'm ready to make one.
Why don't you make a motion? I know we have more comment, but.
Okay, and then I would move the staff's recommendation to authorize this charter.
Board Member Ortiz-Lacombe. Oh, Patricia Rucker.
I have a question for the Latitude representative. And you may want to bring up your COO, whoever answered the original question concerning enrollment. I still have a concern about the African American enrollment. Even though my colleague says we don't have a reason to reject the charter, I have a concern about, and I want to dig a little deeper about the enrollment numbers. How long have you been in operation in Oakland?
13 years.
And in 13 years, you haven't figured out how to improve the enrollment of African American students at your existing schools?
So these schools, so they in 13 there were 2 schools in the first couple of years. I'm not going to say that we serve as many African American students.
Okay, I'll stop you. I'm going to ask my question again. In 13 years, for the schools you have existing right now, what is your plan to improve the enrollment of African American students at those schools? Do you have one, and have you put it in place?
So part of the reason we're talking about as an organization whether we should do more system-wide, district-wide recruitment.
That answer would be yes.
Right. I'm sorry?
That answer should be yes.
Yes. And because we've only recruited within the attendance boundaries traditionally, we are now looking at it more of a citywide recruitment strategy that looks at recruiting from all over the city and even considering rethinking sort of our neighborhood attendance boundary preference as an absolute preference. So there is discussion happening. For the 2 schools that we actually, so Latitude would be a school where we don't have an attendance boundary, and Epic actually does not have an attendance boundary. And Epic has a student population that does have a higher African American population for the Fruit Fail as compared to some of the other, frankly, other middle schools in Oakland Unified School District and charter public schools in the district in that particular neighborhood. So Epic is, I believe,
11%. According to this information I have here from, who is this?
My SIS system is
14.8% for 17-18 school year. Is that about right?
Yes, correct.
And that's still below Fremont High School at 20, Think College now at 17, United for Success at 17, and Garfield at 16. It's still below that, but it has gone up 3 points. It started at 14-15. It started at 11% in the 14-15
So that's a school where we started to do citywide.
Could I finish my question? So for Epic, was that based on a concerted plan that you had for recruiting students?
And actually, our plan at Epic primarily was recruiting African American teachers and educators so as to actually more accurately to what we heard from a lot of our Black families when we asked what would bring you to our schools. They said we need to see more African American educators.
Okay.
So at Epic, there was a concerted effort to have more African American teachers and leadership on staff.
Okay. And so are you doing the same thing then at your other schools? The reason I'm asking is because I want, even though I understand, and I also understand the model that you are going to use in this lottery system tomorrow when your charter is approved today, I need to understand, so when those slots don't fill up, because you don't have a really good track record right now of doing recruitment appropriately or correctly to bring in more African American students, who's going to be filling in those other slots?
I mean, I think that's a great question. It's one of the reasons we wanted to start really small.
Okay, when people answer one of my questions with, that's a great question, it means they don't have an answer. Do you have an answer about what you're going to do to bring in more African American students?
I think I would say that, first of all, with the recruitment of Latitude this year, we were incredibly intentional in making sure that we hit every single middle school that would open their doors to us. And our applicant pool actually is reflective of the demographics of Oakland. So I think it's really being on the ground. It's really working closely with community organizers, working with local organizations that are serving African American students and families. And we have done really intentional recruitment to really get at the diverse by design. For us, it's not just about a statistic, right? It's actually about the values that we have for our school and the community that we want to see students working together across difference. And so I think that our recruitment strategies this year really reflect that as reflected in the applicant pool of Latitude.
Okay, so let me just say, and I probably should have said this before I began asking my questions to you, in the conversation, and I said this yesterday, you know, we're spending so much time in having the conversation about accountability and trying to quantify the performance of schools so that we have exact numbers that tell us that schools suck and that they're not doing well. But we're not having the conversation on what it means to actually improve the instructional program or the instructional experience of the students. It has also been my concern and my concerted effort in the time I have served on this board that when we talk in particular about students of color and African American students and African American boys in particular, we skip over the conversation about what you should be doing and what you should be doing better. And it's always, I'm gonna do this, and I never see it come to fruition. So I have that concern about hearing what you say you're going to do. You've been in business for 13 years and you haven't done nothing, to quote Stevie Wonder. So I have that concern, particularly about the African American students, that you have an entire community of people sitting there who are an overwhelming part of the population, and you haven't created a concerted effort to recruit these students. And frankly, I don't believe you when you say this new lottery system is going to do better than for the schools you have existing right now, and you haven't done enough to improve that. So I'm not satisfied with what I heard, and I believe 5 years from now when you come back, because your petition is going to get approved today, that your numbers are not going to look any better. But I challenge you to prove me wrong, because for once, I would like to be wrong, but I'm not going to be.
And absolutely, and I think what I would say is that it's not just about recruitment, it's about actually retaining the students. And what we believe we offer at Latitude is a program, is an instructional model that will actually serve African American students well so that they will sustain within our schools, right? So it's not just about the numbers of having students come in, it's about can you actually deliver, right? So I think that today we heard that that only 39% of African American students in OUC are actually meeting the A through G requirements, which means that they're ineligible to even apply to A through G, to apply to four-year schools, right? I think that if ultimately what we're about is educational opportunity and educational outcomes, you need to look at the track record. And the track record of our founding team is that we are serving students well. We're 81% of our African American and Latino students from the school that I led, that our founding team led, graduated from a four-year university.
It
right?
still doesn't change the fact that Oakland Unified School District still sends more African American students to the University of California than you have in the last 13 years. It still doesn't change.
So I respectfully disagree, and I stand behind the fact that we offer a program that will serve students well and that will meet the needs that aren't currently being met.
As I said, I want to be wrong, but I just have no doubt that I won't be proven wrong.
Well, we accept the challenge and hope to make you proud in 5 years.
We're going to get Ortiz-Lacone into this. Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know if I need a drink, holy water, something has to happen here. You know, I want to compliment the petitioners for bringing a very well-articulated vision. And, you know, one of the things that I had to go back, because after I asked a question about performance, this is a new school, obviously doesn't have a track record, but it's part of a family, the Charter Management Organization. So I had to go back to look at the dashboard. And to be honest, because your presentation was so well articulated and there was so much support, I was expecting to see a lot of greens and blues in your dashboard. And unfortunately, that's not what I'm seeing. And I'm looking specifically at English language arts, mathematics, digging down to the subgroup level. You admitted that it has been a bit of a challenge to recruit African American students. So there is no data for those students because it's under the N size of 30, which we wouldn't capture the data here on the dashboard. I think for English learner progress, there has been some success in some of the schools. I looked at COGS, I looked at Achieve, I looked at all of them. One of the things that also caught my attention is that there is no information for the local indicators. All of them says not met, which means that you either didn't submit the information or you simply are self-reflecting that you have not met implementation of academic standards, parent engagement, school climate. So I'm conflicted because I'm looking at the data and the data doesn't show, doesn't kind of match the vision that I anticipated. You know, 6 schools, you kind of have the model down, you know how to serve these students that you're working with. And I see a lot of struggles and the same struggles that any other school would have, right? So that's where I'm at right now. I would want to know why you don't have data for your local indicators. Is it that it wasn't submitted? None of the schools. I looked at every single one of the schools. None of them have any rating. So you're either being honest and saying we're not meeting the standard, or you simply didn't submit. Yes, I'm calling you back to the podium. I'm sorry. So the local indicators, all of them say not met, not met, not met for every one of your schools.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've just been caught with, I just saw it on the website myself. So we have local indicators, and we submitted them as part of our LCAP and our reflection. So we'll have to figure out why there's this disconnect. Okay. But it's not that we didn't meet them, or we reported that we didn't meet them.
Okay, but the rest of the data is accurate, right? I mean, you are struggling for none of your academic indicators, anything above a color orange. Everything's red, yellow, orange.
Again, I think that one of the things that we acknowledge is that we are not where we want to be. We are an organization that this year invested and doubled down on a couple instructional initiatives. We call them instructional wins. What we saw across the board was a pretty significant increase in our student performance that would make most of our schools, we're anticipating, obviously it's trickling in, but when we look at the dashboard with most of our data now, most of our schools will actually pop into yellow, and it will be Epic Math that remains in orange, but Epic ELA back in yellow, because most of the schools made something in the ballpark of, we had schools make 10 to 15 point gains, and we had schools actually make 30 to 40 point gains as well. So we saw with the average school making about 20 to 25 point gains, which then puts you on the far right for gains on the dashboard, on the 5x5.
And this is on the data that's not really been
right. This is our preliminary data
put in the new dashboard.
Yeah.
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 Pardon? They have the data, and right, but it is not in any dashboard that is on.
But it's not public yet. Yes.
Yeah, it'll come out in.
Yeah, these are very modest gains, what I'm current or
declines. Yes, they're not acceptable. I'm not, yeah.
So can I just ask the question, why not focus on these current schools before and try to get it right?
So I think this is so we made a decision to double down on instructional initiatives, and we did a lot of soul searching about Latitude, and at some point we had a conflicted board about Latitude, and we wouldn't have opened Latitude if this team hadn't shown up. We were sort of playing, the XQ Super Schools project happened. We kind of were playing on the side of submitting something, you know, $10 million gets thrown around. You say, hey, let's submit something. And we started dreaming a school. And then Lillian moved to Oakland, and she was actually in the sort of innovation space. And we met her, and she joined our team. And the next thing you know, she says, I'd really like to run this school. And at that point, you know, I've been opening new schools in Oakland for about 15 years. One of the big learnings from opening new schools in Oakland, including Epic, is that you have to have a rock star founding team, or it actually drains resource and time and energy from the CMO so that it gets distracted. When we looked at Epic, we created a green lighting rubric. And when we looked at Latitude, we created a green lighting rubric that looked radically different from the one we created for Epic. It said, can this team, because we're not even a high school operator, right? So can this team actually come in and not only just be the high school unit and run it at high quality, but actually become a standard for the rest of us? Because the truth of the matter is, one of my big learnings in the past 2 years is when you're working with high poverty communities, sometimes you get really, and I acknowledge, comfortable with like not good enough. You start to celebrate mediocrity. This past year, I was gifted with an opportunity to travel across the country and look at best practices. The beauty of this Common Core is that you can actually look at the SBAC and say, what are other places across the country that are killing us? In LA, in Houston, in New York, in Newark, who's killing us? And I went and got to observe tons of schools that are killing us, that are serving the same population. And very humbled, I came back with this crazy process of wins and said, we're only going to do a couple things. We're only doing instruction. We're not doing anything else. We're not going to focus on operations or beautification or culture. We're going to focus on improving early literacy, 3-5 problem solving, and 6-8 math, and we're going to double down. And anything else, don't talk to me about it. If staff survey data looks like a bummer, I don't care, right? I mean, it became very focused. And I hate to say that, but like we get so distracted by all the initiatives and all the things that you could be doing. We don't have enough resource in this state to not prioritize. So when we prioritized, 80% of our kindergartners are going to first grade reading at grade level. Never happened before at EFC. Like that number makes me so happy. 20% are in a summer program, so we can double down. If we never create a gap, you never have to close a gap. I focused the first couple years at EFC on an MTSS system. I partnered with Seneca. I was so proud of it, but creating an MTSS system and not focusing on core Tier 1 instruction is a mistake. And I acknowledge that mistake. I have a great MTSS system where more than half the kids need interventions. Like, that's not an MTSS system at that point. So we are doubling down on core instruction in Tier 1. We are investing. We have recruited. We have picked really rigorous curricula. We have replicated the practices of the best schools in New Orleans, in Newark, in New Jersey, in LA. We went to Mission Prep in San Francisco because their outcomes were so much better than ours. We went to go see Acorn, Woodland, and OUSD because their outcomes were better than ours. Like, we are approaching this as humble learners. I mean, we are not where we want to be. I appreciate the pushback. I'm obsessed with data. I'm embarrassed by our data. I hope that when you guys see our dashboard in August, you're like, oh yeah, look at that. Look at the orange that shifted to yellows. And next year, I hope to be yellows that shift to greens. And 3 years, I hope to be beating the state. But I've been doing this for 25 years, and I didn't do it to get 50% or 25%. And at this point, I'm dedicating the next 13 years before I retire to 80 to 100% for the kids that I serve today.
Okay, well, thank you for that statement. I wish I heard that from more school administrators.
Yes, yes.
And this is a very, your petition's very well prepared, and that's really what we're deciding on today. So.
And I take all the feedback and the challenges very seriously. So I do hope to come back in 5 years.
And thank you for letting me ask those questions. I would not have felt good about my work and myself as an African American sitting in this dais without asking you those questions.
Absolutely.
So, you may retire a little bit sooner than I do. So I'm hoping by the time, I'm not going to let you retire if you haven't met your promise you just made to me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I think we have a motion and it's seconded. Let's see, why don't we start over there, Call? Because these are, we have a short board this time.
Do you want to restate the motion so we know?
The motion is to approve the CDE recommendation to authorize Latitude and whatever conditions that usually comes with state board authorization.
Okay. So Patricia Rucker?
No.
Aaron Valdez? Yes. Feliza Ortiz-Lacone? Abstain. Okay. Sue Burr? Yes. Aline Strauss?
Yes.
Mike Kirst?
Yes.
Trish Williams? Yes. Nikki Sandoval? Yes. Jaden Gray? The motion passes.
Okay, the motion passes. The charter school is authorized. Okay, now we're ready for item 24, general public comment. Do we have any general public comment?
We have one person signed up, Solomon Guanakim.
Okay, well, Solomon, can you repeat please speak loud.
Would Solomon Guanakim please come to the podium for general public comment?
Solomon, please come forward. Solomon, no, we don't. Okay, gone. All right, we have no public comment. I declare the meeting adjourned.